know as well.
Okay.
We going this way, or are we going upstairs?
They come on upstairs.
Yeah, you come upstairs.
Okay.
Upstairs is the right of that. Get the phone.
Falling behind here.
No problem.
Oh.
I knew it would take a little bit logistically to get the ball rolling, on this, but came together pretty quick. Smurf was like, "Did you test the voice channel?" And I was like, "Yeah, but we tested it with all Hithus personnel, not a single like foreign dignitary."
I had a
I was talking.
I was talking with Jakar first last night, and it was
the game by chance.
just great because we were going over all the things we wanted to make sure we set up for y'all's map today, and I don't think we touched a single thing.
Well, without further ado, who's this? I see THL. Someone just left. Chara and Urzi, if you guys could maybe next to Creed.
He's fine where he is.
Alright, perfect.
Yeah, let the attendees kind of stand behind their leaders.
Well, okay. Greg, would you like to start?
I mean, we're just gonna go over introductions, and since I can't really see who's in game, I'm just gonna have you go to clockwise, you Druid. So obviously we've been around for a while. Military-based clans were started as Hithus, the Union before. We focus primarily on forge as well as professionalism and military prowess as much as we can. Druid, you just want to go clockwise from you, have people do some quick introductions.
Absolutely. I am Hithus Druid. I'm the Realm Commander over the Corpus Militarum, which is our military unit. Oversee 2 chapters and just overall activity for the Corpus. I'm also head script arc in the Ingenium and second in command to Anger in the Ingenium. Assist with a lot of the forge work as well.
What's up, guys? I am Solstice. I lead Void 6, so we are actually a sister clan to Hithus. We split off fairly recently, and they've been helping us get built up, and eager to be doing events with you guys as our member population continues to grow and our forge advancements continue to expand. But yeah, nice to meet you all.
My name is ATI Onyx. I used to be formerly known as Bolted, many other names. I lead Atlas Initiative. It's militia. We like military stuff, mostly tactical shit.
Tensei. I am the Director of Strategic Deployment for Operations for Fenrir. I work closely with our special forces, be it Spartans or Black Knights, and I pretty much handle everything external.
I'm Yunar Eisen, leader of the Yunar, one of 3. We are a UEG/UNSC clan in the community. We have always focused externally. We've interacted with many of you guys here, so I assume many of you are familiar with us. But we focus primarily on just interacting with you guys.
Zig.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
Yes, my gamer is actually pronounced Adakaisi. You just call me Zig. I'm the minister to the Wasteland for Enclave. We are a Fallout-based clan, and we are about to hit our 10-year anniversary mark. We pride ourselves in our militaristic traditions of the old Reach days.
Well, I'm Preacher, leader of the Halo Lands. Probably one of the oldest organizations here, militaristic clan that focuses mainly on ourselves.
Pleasure to have you as always, Creature.
Good. And then for I believe it. I didn't want to cut off anyone. Grandmaster Tyler of the PMC Hybrids, the Iron Legion. We kind of just act like more of like a brotherhood, more internally, though we try to act more on a militarized kind of format due to the ranks, but we just try to have more of a decent time when it comes to just playing around with the games. But we don't really take things as much as seriously as maybe others do, but that's more just from my perspective.
I'm Jax the Reaper, soon to be lieutenant over in Vanguard.
We were born, out of the clan Sparta. That was around for a very long time. About 7 months ago, Kordak decided to start Vanguard. We have a variety. I'd say we're kind of like the Swiss Army knife of clans. Of course, we managed to rise through the rankings pretty quick. We like to focus externally, focus on helping small clans, and also focus on getting our members as much activity as we can. I also lead our Sentry branch, which focuses on defending our raid maps and training our lower tier players on how they work, so that they can become better raiders.
Aerotonic, SOR's Director of Strategic Deployment. I handle all of our externals for the Forest and Vigor. And most of you know me as the voice of SOR.
Well, I'm Reese Leckworth, like calling Reese. I'm the Eclipse of Hyperion Initiative. Probably we're shorting to Hyperion here soon. We are mostly internal clan, focusing on ourselves. But yeah, something much about us.
Alright. So, I guess I'll read off my whole entire gamer tag. It's Avaristic Undead. You could just call me Av. I'm the director of Enterprise Eclipse. Been around since OG Reach. Took a few breaks here and there. Kind of sampled the community throughout the years. But, yeah. I guess as well, we were also focused on internals for a very, 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 very long time. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, hello there. I am Angry Jenkins, Lord of the Forge for Hithus. Basically responsible for everything you see around. There's a few parts the Druid really did a lot of help with too. But anyways, I basically build everything for the Hithus Corpus, help get everything built, because we've got a really nice team with some new additions recently as well. I think we are looking for some forge deals, maybe some trades. So that might be one of the topics of discussion tonight. It's very nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to meet everyone here. Some familiar faces, some new. At least on my end. I guess we can do the same thing. We'll just go around the table again, just like we did. First point that we would like to address is just get a gauge on how you feel about the community as it stands. So the state of the military clan community. And I'll go ahead and start first. I speak with very little previous knowledge of Halo clans. Like I said, my experience in the clan community consists of just Infinite's life cycle. As of August, I will have been in Hithus for 2 years. Climbed my way up, worked my ass off to get to this position. Love our organization, love this community for the most part. We can all agree there's a lot of toxicity and unnecessary negativity, I guess, but you can get that pretty much anywhere you go. I think for me, I'm kind of 50-50 on the fence about it, right? Like some of the military organizations that we've interacted with, I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's been extremely professional. And then others that also call themselves military organizations, which I'm not questioning that. But I've just had different experiences, right? Like my experience with Vanguard versus my experience with Enterprise have both been drastically different experiences. So it's hard for me to say. To me, it doesn't feel like there's a clear. To me, it feels like a military clan has turned into an umbrella term, I guess I would say. And this meeting's not here to try and convince anyone to change their label or what they do or anything like that. Like I said, it's just to get opinions. So, I guess to summarize it and try and keep it short and sweet so we can get on around the table. My opinion on the state of the community is that there's a lot of imitators, I guess would be a good word to use. That say they're a military clan, but really, what is it on paper that you think sets you apart and defines you as a military clan? Is it because you just do raids, or is it because of your ranking structure? Is it because of your chain of command structure, things like that?
Good words, Druid. Good words. I know during my time in Hithus, I can agree with you 100%. We definitely got to touch a lot of variety of military clans, so not everybody is the same by any means. I would agree it does feel like an umbrella term, and I honestly feel like we use that as Void 6 because we are by no means Milsim whatsoever. Our separation from Hithus and creation of the sister clan put us in a situation where our focus was a more relaxed setting that followed a military foundation simply for structure and rank purposes. But a lot of that rank and file tactical stuff that you get with a milsim, like what we did with Creature, plenty. And I would say probably Onyx, based on how you described your clan, probably similar to you guys would fall into more of a military structure than we are. So I would say as far as the community goes, I've been since fucking Halo 3, been doing military clans, and I've been in pretty much every possible setup that you can have. And I would say as far as Infinite goes, the community for military clans is more strange and different than it's ever been in the entire lifetime of Halo clans. So I think just as a community, we just have to focus on, making sure that we can create the best experiences possible for each other and helping each other grow and maintain the population of Halo and giving members who may have never been in a clan before an awesome opportunity to see what the military community as a whole can put out there.
Yeah, well said. I absolutely agree. Kind of with both of your guys' opinions. I mean, I've had a wide array of clans that I've been a part of, from Sentinel all the way up to Valor, and to even what I'm doing now. A lot more Milsim-esque. I mean, not 100% Milsim, especially not the cliche that's kind of attached to it. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the umbrella label that's kind of there kind of makes a clan, and I'm sure we're going to get into that in this meeting. Yeah, man, I mean, it's not very clear. I mean, what makes a clan isn't really defined all that much. I mean, in the Citadel, I know we also allowed in just gaming communities as of recent. Yeah, I mean, it's cool and all to have that growth, and I think that that's wonderful, especially because of the state of the community and just how low a population and clans that we have. I mean, it is good depth, but it isn't at its great state by any means. I mean, we used to have a massive community on 5, and even furthermore, the Golden Age back on Reach. I mean, so many other better titles, with also a more popularized community. But back onto the, toxicity. I mean, we just need to cultivate a better culture. That, and along with just what makes a clan, and maybe allowing for those groups to kind of have a haven, instead of just trying to conform everyone to some big ass group. Well, that's wonderful. I feel like we should have maybe one server and actually have dedicated channels to said type of groups. Would be a cool, unique thing that kind of allows for clans to have the type of activities that they wish. But yeah, that's about it.
Having been here and running clans since 2009 with Kings and Arms, KIX Tactician, my personal opinion on the community is that it really hasn't changed a whole lot. I think there's been a lot more focus on, as we're discussing here, what defines a military clan. But even back then, we had clans like Voltage and Joker Nation who did essentially the exact same thing that we have clans doing today. I think it's more of an issue now. People are drawing more attention to it now than they were back then. But relatively, I think it's about the same. I think the only difference is there was a lot more network manipulation style toxicity back then, because that's just what Xbox parameters kind of allowed, as compared to now, where you don't see that. You see more quote, hackers, wall hackers, things like that, which still upset the balance of the game and the integrity of it. But I think other than that, I mean, I'm satisfied with the community, and I just want to see it grow population-wise.
In UNR, we kind of see things a little differently, from what I gather so far. We actually think Milsims are the more in-between clans between comp and the hardcore military community. Military clans for us are clans like Orda, THL, and them. That's kind of the umbrella term of military clans for us, the ones that are like hyper-simming. Milsims for us are clans like Valor, Vanguard, so on and so forth, where they have a military structure and they have like a professional outreach, but internally they operate more as a friend group with ranks. That's kind of what the community's kind of devolved into. I would say military clans themselves are not even 1/10 of the community. They're probably dead, IMO. I can, no offense to THL here, but I don't see many military clans interact with the wider community, like the hyper sims or anything. I don't see any activity or any sort of interaction from them to show that they're flourishing or alive. Most of the ones that try to sim are 15-man groups who rely on other clans for their events. It's sad it's that way. Hypersims were cool, and those military clans did have their own niche in the community, but I would say that clans like Valor, Vanguard, and so on are the future, where they're more of a Milsim in our eyes, where they have like a half and half.
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem like the times have evolved, right? Like people that play games nowadays want a more casual experience and a less strict experience, especially considering that the hardcore Milsim clans, I'm not sure, what THL's turnout rate is, but I know for us that we bring members in and they don't like the strictness and they're instantly out. So for a lot of people, it's not for them, which is perfectly fine. Like you said, this is a niche community, so that's kind of our target audience per se. But I mean to rant. I'm gonna not be able to say your name for the rest. I'm gonna call you Zig.
Is perfectly fine.
Zig. Yeah.
No, actually, to continue off from what Eisen was saying, I can 100% agree. I think there is definitely a massive divide between the traditional military-based clans, I believe you refer to them as the PMCs, and then as well as the comp groups. I've been in this community for, almost like 10 years, like 12 at this point. I was in UN way back when. And I would definitely say is that even though we are on massive servers such as Senadel or even IO7 way back when, there were still these massive divide in ideologies, which is never going to change. For example, we might become far more accepting of our differences, such as, for example, groups might really love competitiveness while others may not. And there's always going to be that separation, but at the end of the day, it's also the integrity of what you're actually bringing to a lineup, which is important. Now, groups who do primarily focus on the skill focus aspect of externals, there's also been this massive issue that I've personally witnessed from across the community is a lack of integrity on those lineups. In the long term, I feel like that's going to actually create more of that separation. Even though we might all be in the same discords, that lack of integrity in the long term is what's going to cause issues. And also, as we all are well aware of, the time of the UNSC is done. It's gone. And what I've personally found is that there are far more groups who are creating more unique identities, such as here in Enclave. We've been around for 10 years. We pride ourselves on recreating iconic locations such as Hoover Dam or fucking independent forts from Fallout 4. Those are the things that draw people into us. And each niche is going to be able to bring those people. They're going to find, a love or passion for whatever it might be. For example, Hithus, I know that you're very experienced with your foragers, and that's what you cater towards, which is fantastic. THL, you focus on more of a hardcore traditional military aspect, which is okay. Or Vanguard, you're more of the new wave. Everyone's going to have their niche of the people that they're going to bring, where some people might value discipline over, 10 externals a day. As the long term is as long as we're able to continue that level of integrity, which was once here, I think we'll be okay in the long term. Sorry, that was a bit of a banter.
No, I can completely agree with the sentiment. Early on, before I was acting Realm Commander and I was just trying to run my chapter, I was setting up externals. That was the number one issue that we would run into, because we are not a high tier clan. We are not a comp clan. We have a handful of Onyxes, and they are old gen members who have increasingly, have responsibilities in real life that have just increased over the years. So they're not as active as they once were. But that being said, the integrity of the lineups has been the biggest issue that I've faced as far as externals goes. And that goes from clans that we had not done activity with all the way to clans that we had alliance documents signed with that were still pushing, 5 or 6 Onyxes on a plat and a gold lobby. And it just was not fun. And we would have rather canceled the events and saved relations than to had forced the event and everyone end up pissed off. So I completely agree with the sentiment.
I mean, I really agree with majority of what Zig said. I think that that there can be interaction between like the grand scope of the community. We just have no interest in doing so. I don't believe that you neither are required to operate with a group just because they are a other clan. If you don't have the same standards as another group, you don't need to meet them.
Tier, secure the entrance. I don't know who Pool Guy is. Does anybody know Pool Guy?
Titan, can you check that?
Honor
in
Guard,
line.
accompany Tier, please.
He is an
I am
Hyperion,
mine.
but he was not invited to this meeting. So feel free to kick him, kill him. I do not personally care.
Here, if you'd like to escort him up here to Reese, he can stand guard.
No, kick him.
No?
Kick him. He will start
Copy.
open firing. He's not a roleplay person.
Creature, could you expand on your topic of standards?
So for our group, we pride ourselves on culture and discipline. And I think that, and if any of you have been in chats with like Orta, I mean, he's like shoved this stuff down everybody's throat. I'm not as vocal about it. I just don't think that if you have a standard for your group internally and externally that you're setting, and you start to operate with another group, that it's just not there.
Excuse me. Sorry, 1 second, Creature. ATI, somehow you have become the host of this lobby. Would you mind booting Pool? And then if you would also lock it
I
down
will
to invite
promote you.
only. Thank you, sir.
I do apologize for that. He's being
No
dumped
worries.
right now on the server.
Druid, you're promoted, and it's on invite only, and he's been removed.
Thank you, sir. Creature, please continue.
Where was I? So, I mean, if you have a standard set for your own group, I don't think you need to interact with another group that doesn't meet that standard. We have had plenty of examples of groups that have tried to interact with us and we just don't interact with them at all. One example would be the NRI. After a certain point, we just completely blacklisted them, refusing to even bring them up in like chats and stuff like that when they were still somewhat relevant. They just don't exist to us. And it's just that simple. I don't think there is a requirement for one group to interact with another one.
Oh, absolutely not. And for what it's worth, I don't mean to cut you off if you're not done, but we've highly valued our interaction with THL, and we value the same kind of opinions. In that, you know, if we interact with an organization and we notice that their, for lack of a better word, antics and behavior start to, you know, bleed out into our personnel, that's mainly what we don't want. You know, we want our guys to act professional pretty much all the time, unless we're off duty, just hanging out, shooting the shit. But as far as externals, internals, official events, scheduled events, we value professionalism to the utmost extreme. And
likewise,
yeah, sometimes you will come across organizations that, you know, want a more social and casual and, you know, just kind of a random experience. And we tend to stray away from those organizations as well.
Yeah. It fundamentally comes down to whether you value externals or not. Like, we don't value externals. That's not a
Well, it kind of
metric
goes
that-
hand in hand with the integrity thing that Zig was talking about, right? Like, integrity doesn't just stop when the lineup for the lobby is done. You know, how do you treat each other? You know, are you respectful? You know, are we here to learn and to train, or are we here just to have fun and play casually? And that's something we try and preach to our guys a lot. Yeah.
No ROE, because we don't do ROE whenever we do events. We match whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that, you know, between our interactions with each other, it shows the intentions, like of one group to another.
Absolutely. Tyler, would you like to go ahead?
To be honest with you, I don't really have any comments to say at this point. I'm just here listening.
That's perfectly fine. We can move along.
I think I can offer a little bit of a more unique perspective on this. Halo Infinite is, well, it's my first game too. I started doing clans and Halo Infinite in January. I moved up to NCO pretty quickly because I have experience with, you know, running groups and other games. What I've noticed, I've definitely noticed what a lot of people have said, the toxicity and the standoffish, especially between some of the higher skill groups in the clan community. I think that one of the reasons that we're struggling to grow as a community is because when newer people join, they're turned off just by how people talk to them and how they talk to each other. We definitely have a lot of things to work on the respect side of things, even within within Vanguard too. When it comes to activity with other clans, we generally try to do an ROE, but we end up against, there are a lot of newer clans out there trying to make a name for themselves, and Vanguard's a good target, so we do watch, the lineups that they bring and what they try and do. We've been stacked on a lot, especially recently after these last couple Citadel rankings. I don't know, overall, I just try to be as respectful as possible, and I look for, that same level of respect from other clans, and when I don't receive that, I just generally don't schedule with them. There are a couple of clans that, my clan schedules with, but I don't personally schedule with because of that. I don't really have too much to add. I don't really have too much to add on to that. I will say I am very impressed. As a newer member of the community, I'm very impressed with this community overall. You guys have built some very impressive things, and I'm happy to be a part of it in the way that I am.
Absolutely. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but we're connected from since you were in DGA with Fallacy, right?
I was not in DGA. Vanguard is my first clan. Fallacy is the first person I actually met from Vanguard. And we hit it off pretty quick. I basically did my DCT, got thrown straight into a raid, and I've loved it ever since.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that Vanguard has been pushing for activity with us, consistently ever since I've been here. Now might be as good a time as any just to clear the air. But the reason we don't do events with Vanguard is because in an event, one of your personnel, I don't know him by name, but someone in the event did teabag and body disrespect Dracarys. That is the sole reason that we do not interact with Vanguard. This might be something that we can. I mean, there's multiple others, but they're kind of trivial. We had multiple people telling us that, well, not multiple. We had one confirmed that said he was from Vanguard that was sent to spy on us, but then, he lied. He wasn't sent. He did it on his own, and then lied to try and cause trouble. Yeah, everyone, make sure you jiggle so you don't time out. Make sure you jiggle.
That guy, we tried to get rid
that.
of him, and he went to you guys, and we caused that issue. So sorry about him for that guy.
I can clear the error on that a little bit if I can get the floor for a second on that.
Go ahead.
So his name was Bubblegum, and he's this dude from Australia, and there was like this period of time where all the MCOs would get together and like play Halo Wars from like 1 to 3 in the morning because everyone was on, and he would hop into voice chats and he would just talk about whatever, and he talked loud as hell over our comms in a competitive real-time strategy game, how that would be very annoying. He'd do that constantly when we were doing ranked. It didn't matter what we were doing, he'd hop in. And one time Shepard made a joke about sending him to be a spy, and Shepard then said Shepard made a joke about him spying on, and we was like, make him spy on Hithus, just send him over there, they'll get rid of him quick. And he took it as, let's go actually spy on Hithus, and he left our server, created an alt, and then joined your guys' server with the Hithus name. And no one told him to do that. He just...
The irony of that situation is that my gamer tag was Hithus Vex, and he replied to a LFG post that I had put out. And that's how he ended up in the...
And within the first 24 hours, first 24 hours, had changed his name to Hithus Tism.
Yep.
So he was instantly
after meeting
instantly
him,
denied.
ironically.
Yeah, after meeting him.
I was an Enigma at the time, and Vanguard's here trying to pass Bubblegum off to me before he passed him off to y'all. So
Bubblegum had told us that he was trying to get to Enigma, and that's why he went through Hithus.
Mm-hmm.
So, pardon my language, but we were just trying to get the motherfucker out of the server.
But it's gotta love too that like
hilarious.
It's gotta love too that like a simple statement like that can just go ahead and could cause a whole problem, a whole misunderstanding.
I know. Shepard felt bad because he was drunk. He barely remembered saying.
That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes.
I was there. Shepard was
What I would
drunk.
do.
It is what you would do, Drake.
Jay,
I figured now was as good a time as any just to put that out there so that there's no confusion as to why we're not scheduling with you guys, and hopefully we can close the door on that and maybe look towards a brighter future.
I would very much like that, especially because you guys have always managed to match like our lineups pretty well, and as a lower tier player, you guys have a solid low mid that gives their guys some competition, and I definitely like to schedule some more with you guys.
Absolutely. Aerotonic, love to. Jax, are you done? Sorry.
Yeah, that was everything. I talked for longer than I expected.
No problem.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel the same way as Zig mainly. I'm new to clanning as well. Started in SOR. Never been in a clan before, so when we were building out the high tier or the external side of SOR, I pride myself on respect and professionalism amongst our events. So when you guys ask me for gold lineups, you're getting golds. We're not stacking on you, and this is full-time rank. And that's the biggest thing for me is when we look at others in the community, we had an event last night where it was supposed to be gold and platinum, and you're bringing Onyx 1500, 1600s to a gold platinum event. And I think that's the biggest thing is just that amount of toxicity and stacking. I think we could all do a better job on.
Well, a lot of time and energy goes into scheduling these events. Like probably the majority of us have families, we have jobs, we have bills, we have troubles and problems and shit that comes up. The last thing that we want to do is spend 4 or 5 hours trying to orchestrate an event, get our guys ready, and then all that go to waste,
If I may, Tonic, the group that you tried to do the event recently, do you happen to remember the name?
I do not.
Fair enough.
I apologize for that, but it was a 4v4.
Fair enough. All right.
I would say that would actually make it worse, though. I mean, pulling up with a much bigger skill diversity in a game where it matters the most. I mean, that's crazy.
Especially when you try to go off and ask for like the specific lineups, the specific tiers, and then you just get like something lower or something higher. And in most cases, it's mostly something higher, and it just annoys me.
Can I ask a general question? Do all of you do lineups? Is that
I do lineups, yeah. I do lineups.
I do lineups.
That is interesting.
I do something a little interesting, just up to a certain amount of like a cap, and then like a floor and a ceiling, really, and like a certain amount on our ceiling, just because we don't want it to be so much, right?
This is for raids.
My clan doesn't participate in raids, but all of our events really.
You don't do raids?
Yeah.
This is strictly first come, first serve. That's how we do it. And we keep it in the skill level that we agreed upon.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how we do it too.
And
definitely like pre-converse about that.
And
I've
THL,
been working on setting our tier system.
You know that we operate with tiers for certain stuff, but if we appreciate and like respect your organization, it's not that deep to us. We've done multiple events with you where we didn't discuss ROE or tiers at all, and we had a blast, had a great time. I know the last event we did with you guys, the raid with on your war base with the wasps, was an absolute mayhem, but it was, I mean, you don't have to match lineups in order to have good events sometimes. That doesn't mean that it's a standard that we can like operate every event off of, though. Sadly, because like we just also wouldn't put our guys up. Like I would never put my plats up against diamonds or onyxes. I just wouldn't do it.
It just comes down to whether or not people are going to have a good time, Druid. And we've talked a lot about this when I was a part of Hithus. Is just no, like if the only people you can bring to an event are golds. If you mention that to the other people, like, hey, you guys have a massive group of people in your clan, can you just match us up with some golds? And they're like, yeah. And then you show up, and that whole other team is full of diamonds and plats and onyxes, and it's like, what fun is that for the lower guys?
Or alt accounts, or Smurfs. Yeah.
Nobody's gonna have a good time except the team that's gonna stomp the other ones, and then all that's gonna result in is no longer having those relations. So it's like, out of respect for yourself and the other clan, pre-discuss what your plans are, and if you can't follow through with that, like we made an event with Fallacy. We unfortunately missed it just because we didn't have enough people on, but I was very open with him saying, look, we don't have that many members right now, so I can match within these brackets. And that was going to work out fine. So, we pre-discussed where the lowest point would be and where the highest point might be. And as long as you have those conversations, you get it should work out, no problem.
I think there's just a fundamental difference in philosophy here. Yeah.
I think bare bones, though, if we're looking at it as a group of clan leaders, the idea is to grow the community, right? Not shrink it. So if you have brand new members that are new to ranked or new to raids, and they're going up against guys that are 5 times their ranking structure, what do you think that's going to do to your new members? I mean, that's just going to drain the community faster than anything.
But though at the same time too, you got to look at the other perspective in this as well, where not many players have really been enjoying Infinite as it is, especially with the amount of updates that Infinite's been getting. There still have been a lot of players that haven't really been enjoying it, and they've been moving on either back to H5 or MCC or to other games, and it's not more of just more of the clans itself that's been kind of making that kind of drive away. But I would just kind of see it as just the amount of work that kind of goes games that it kind of just drives people away.
So if you do a lineup,
I thought for a second there you were going to play devil's advocate, but
yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah, I thought that was where it was coming. Sorry.
What?
What are you saying, creature?
My question is then, if you're doing lineups for all of your practices, and the time of war comes around, or is every raid you're going to do in a war raid, are you going to actually have a lineup, or is it going to be first come first serve, the best of your best? Because I see no point in having a lineup of my golds and they're not being challenged like that. You should be throwing people into the fire a little bit to actually have them improve. If not, you're just catering and recycling.
Honestly, I will agree to that to some degree. However, of course, facing your Onyx for the first time, second, third, whatever, right? You're not going to pick up on those tells immediately, especially as a gold, right? What are you going to learn as a gold at that point, right? Playing your life, you're just going to repeat the same mistakes, right? So it's whether or not you can actually pick up on those tells and then reflect upon it. But I mean, their movement, their accuracy level is going to be substantially better. I mean, yes and no.
I mean, there's a lot of variables that come into play when you're talking about the skill gap or the skill level of players. We're talking about internet connection, we're talking about hardware, which controller do you have, how long have you been playing? Some people are never going to hit Onyx. Some people are never going to hit Diamond. That's just the truth of the matter. But what I have noticed is that there's a lot of, and it comes with the territory, right? There's a lot of ego in the Onyx skill bracket. And even when I'm doing recruiting, I spoke to a 1700 a couple of days ago who plays ranked with some of my other buddies. And I was trying to get him in here, and he said, oh, well, how many Onyxes do y'all have? I said, well, really only 2 or 3. Oh, well, I'm not joining then. They it also kind of polarizes the community because the Onyxes definitely stick together. And don't really, from my experience, from what I've seen over the past 2 years, I have not been able to talk a single Onyx into running a training event. for our low tiers to try and help them get better. It's easy to pull someone, like we've had people that joined as silvers who are now sitting at plat 1, plat 2, plat 3. So it's easy for us to help those guys progress. But I'm a mid diamond, high diamond. My cap is like diamond 5, diamond 6. So like, am I really going to be able to push people past that? Probably not. And have I witnessed people hitting their ceiling in platinum? Absolutely. Or people just like, that's probably as good as they're going to get unless they buy some controllers, get a PC, get on a monitor, etc., etc. I would say I do like what ATI does to kind of negate those issues by using tactical game modes. Because how do you even the playing field between a clan or an organization that wants to stack onyxes against your golds? You give your golds tactical, and boom, that's it. Post them up. They can hold their own against onyxes in certain game modes because it's an even playing field.
Well, in a raid, there's so many more scenarios than just actual gunfights.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'd like to actually point on this.
We only do raids, so I guess this is more of an issue we really can't touch upon. But I just see that there's too many scenarios where like a bracket to me means anything.
I'd like to actually make a point here as well.
Oh, okay.
Is that one thing we also have to realize, though, is that the community goes through seasons. The community goes through trends, if that makes sense. As far as I'm aware, it seems like everyone's community experience here is at least 3 to 5 years, which is perfectly fine. And I'm the old guy in the room here with 10. What I will say is that throughout the years, the trends do change. The trends in value and higher skilled players will not last forever. For example, way back in like the traditional Reach time period, it was all about creating the culture. It was all about the military YouTube videos. You guys might have seen like the old UNs or the UFs and so forth. And at that point, time period, the collection of the groups themselves who created the rules, they were the ones who created the importance. It wasn't about, if in their minds, player skill was not important. And so it was not an importance to the community. At a later point, there was a coalition of clans such as called the PMC or the CMP, the Common Military Pact. Once again, same factor. These clans came together and they decide what was valuable to the community themselves. And so in all due reality is that you guys are giving far too much power to these individuals when you guys are the leaders of your own clans. So you should not accommodate to these outsiders for people who are most likely going to clan hop. You know, I'll be honest, there are many circumstances where people join Enclave and they leave within the first 2 or 3 months because they were looking for more of a competitive environment, and that's perfectly fine. But as long you cannot accommodate to those who are not going to stick around.
No, if I may, Zig.
What I'd like to put fun on this one last thing as well is that the groups and meetings such as this, I'm not suggesting another coalition, but I'm saying is these meetings right here are the foundation on changing the culture community-wide. Am I saying that these diamonds and or not diamonds, onyxes and everything are important? Of course they're important in times of war. But at the end of the day, you get to choose the value of what this community is actually interested in the long term. Sorry, Tyler.
Very well.
I agree with that. But just going back to the comment when it comes to the communities, like knowing that there are still some other communities to kind of take into consideration as well, like with the roleplay community, the mainstream, and all that. Like, of course, there's going to be players that be interested in either one of those. So it would just kind of take into just a different matter of the perspective on that.
I'm going to step in here real quick about the whole going up with the Zig said from Enclave, also being an old head of 14 years, and backing up to what Druid said, we don't base raids off of competitive skill. We have a lot of competitive guys in the clan, but also a lot of old school, I guess you could say, strict military style people here as well. Example,
those fuckers know how to raid.
Exactly.
Guarantee it.
But the thing is, for me, I'm very old school. Yeah, I'm Diamond 5, but I wouldn't be put onto a 4v4 team against Valor. But against Valor in a raid, I'll be put on that lobby first. So ranked plays no factor into play some factor. there's always a factor when it comes to skill in any type of game mode, right? But raids, you can teach someone how to raid, but people who've been doing it for years know how to do it better. And the whole idea of just...
That's exactly my point. That is exactly my point.
And the whole idea of, oh, but you brought a plat to an Onyx game. We have 2 plats who compete on a very high diamond level in terms of raid skill. Person looking right now, Buffalo, maybe a plat forward, but he's trading shots with low Onyx's high diamonds and raids. He's shooting people off of walls. He's all that stuff. So we shouldn't put value in the fact of, you're Onyx, you're automatically a good raider. Happened with Saggio, the Clan before Saggio, had an entire pro roster but lost to Valor Arcs. What happened to that? Skill doesn't mean anything. And the whole Onyx's camp kind of may have misunderstood this comment. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Onyx's, you can't accommodate to them. Valor did it very well with the ARC program. Arabola was a raid kid. He was a clan kid way before he was a high tier. Now he's headed up the ARC program. Same thing with Sentinel with a Generosity. He used to be in a GRA. He used to be in UN. And now he was a high tier in Force Recon and now is in Valor as an ARC. So take into account that just because they're high tier Onyxes doesn't mean they can't be clan kids before they were high tiers. So
very true. Yeah.
Or after. I mean, especially in G10's case.
Well,
I think it really gets set up into what kind of atmosphere you create for them within your own clan. I mean, if they're, anybody who's ever hosted a recruitment lobby, as foreign as they are nowadays, knows that you get the Onyx kids that hop in there, flaunt their ego, and then say that they're only interested in externals. So, I mean, it's about what we choose to do. Like with Creature, I completely am on board. Like, there's no way if I was at war, I would just set up like a list of who I'm bringing. Like, I would bring my best players, like, obviously, because I'm trying to win. But if my objective is for training purposes, now you guys don't do 4v4s, and I feel like a skill bracket matters a lot less in a raid. But if we're doing like 4v4s, or even like 6s or 8s, I would much rather see a skill bracket that made sense so that everybody gets to benefit rather than just get stomped on. But raids are like a whole different atmosphere. So I feel like Creatures, with you guys only doing raids, it's hard to really understand kind of what we're talking about on that level. And I think that's why you see it so different. But I agree with you. Like in a raid scenario,
it's a community difference. I would call it a comp community term rather than an actual military community term. It's a clear separation for us.
Well, let's get on around. I still need to hear from AV and Hyperion. Yeah, Reese. So
topic is the state of the community.
Absolutely. So we'll finish up with these two and then we'll move on to innovation. So Avaristic, how do you feel about the state of the community?
So I've got a lot of mixed perspectives. So I as well was around back in OG Reach. I want to say around like 2012, 2013, somewhere in there is when I started. Now, granted, I was a child, right? I don't know how old all you are, but I'm like in my mid-20s. So, yeah. Anyway, that was when I was just starting to get my feel of the community. And coming back after, it's not like I stopped at Reach, right? I went from 4 until like mid to late 5, and that's when I just dropped everything and just actually got culture from all the other wonderful and shitty games that we have here on Microsoft, right? But, yeah. So, I don't know about you guys. It does feel very different from what I grew up with. Not that it's a bad thing, right? Rosters are great because it can balance our members, right? You don't want like people who are probably at the bronze skill racket going up against Onyxes, obviously, right? But I do agree with a lot of you on tactical, right? Tactics can help you, obviously, like if you team shot an Onyx, that's most likely going to kill the Onyx, right? Unless you're painting the Mona Lisa behind them. But ultimately, it's genuinely. Oh my goodness. But yeah, you get my point, right? So I agree with a lot of you on how helpful rosters are, but part of me does miss just being able to have people in a clan who want to be there. And then you yourself, like, clans themselves would dictate who they would want going in depending on several different factors. Because back in Reach, we didn't have ranks. Not that I fucking remember. I don't know about you guys, but it was about what, KDs? KDs were ultimately
it pretty much more mattered on KDs,
Yeah.
Unless you were involved with the actual like centralized clan community where they did have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1.3 KD or nothing back those days.
But yeah, no. We were definitely a lot more isolated back then. I bet you guys remember the after action reports, or lack thereof. After a raid, everybody's in game chat screaming at each other, right? So that led us to 100% isolate from every single clan known to man. But the thing is, back then we could party bomb people, right? If you had your lobby on open or friends only, or maybe they had someone in their lobby and you just asked them for an invite, you get one. And you got a raid. Right? No matter what session it was. That's something I miss. That's an aspect of the community's element, right? That's the culture that I miss. Instead, now we have to schedule absolutely everything. Not that that's a bad thing. Obviously, you would want to do that, period, with every other clan, and that's how wars are too. Obviously, like, we've had wars and we've been interacting with clans for fucking years now, right? I just miss having that added element. That's the only negative aspect that I want to say that the community's changed in. But other than that, I don't know. I'm glad that Halo has become a lot more competitive. Don't get me wrong, we had MLG back then. We had our own pro leagues and shit back then, but I don't know. It's hard for me to articulate exactly what has changed. We've been on Infinite for like half a year now. However long it's been since Season 4 dropped. Mm-hmm. So we've definitely been seeing a lot of changes. Not necessarily negative, but I wouldn't also argue that it's positive, you know? I don't know. I think I'll leave it with that.
Okay.
If I may, real quick. I know what you're talking about with like party bombing and lobby bombing back on Reach. We used to do that a lot. We ourselves would actually set up lobbies for that. That happened a lot in Halo 4, and in Halo 5 they actually brought in the custom browser, and I think that's kind of when that started to separate, because I'm sure a lot of you here either used or heard the term custom browser clan or browser kids. You know, you'd see the assassination towers, you'd see the open raids, and I think that old culture of lobby bombing and party bombing has kind of garnered itself a bit of a negative reputation, because even on Halo Infinite you don't see it as much anymore. They exist, of course, but like you do not see it a whole lot anymore.
It's just because nowadays all those open lobby people have traits on them. They quite literally just make it impossible for the base to actually be taken over, and they just ultimately result to spawn killing. It's stupid as shit, you know?
I think it's actually changed more into like intel gathering, sending people to actually spy and then be able to get game invites into lobbies. But then now the real issue is people don't run internals anymore to be invited to surprise raid. It's not as common.
Well, I think that's also because there's lack thereof games to do so. I mean, things are always on invite only, and if they are on open, very seldomly. Like Ab was saying, it's either the most overpowered thing known to man with like unlimited fucking ammo, snipers pointed at you. Snipers,
I'm not talking
plural.
about having the lobby on open. I'm talking about getting an invite from someone.
Oh yeah, that's.
I know what you mean. Yeah. But even then, like nowadays, if you do get an invite to people's lobbies, they'll kick you. Back then in 2014, if you got kicked, that would be a raid win, right? But people just ignore you and shrug it the other way. I don't know. The culture of the community has definitely changed. Once again, I can't necessarily articulate it because we haven't been back long enough, but I've definitely seen instances where it have been, right?
I think I can a little bit articulate on what you're saying here. So the community went from that culture that you described, the large party bombing and all of that, to a community that is more interactive with one another when this is actually scheduling events with one another, conducting more
Communication
friendly events with
opened
one
up.
another, and
Yeah.
communicating with each other. So that's what the community has more or less come to. The clans just wanting to have fun and just do raids and multi-4s, BTBs, and whatever. And a lot of that truly, like, clan factor, right? That party bombing factor, that's not as much of a thing anymore, because clans nowadays just want to have fun. People just want to have fun on the game, people just want to do stuff, right? So the culture has definitely changed a little bit there.
Definitely.
Yeah. The player base has also changed, you know. It's not the same group of kids that grew up in wartime. You know, the kids playing games these days, growing up in much different times than what we grew
and
up
the kids
in.
have grown up and they just want to vibe and chill and do events now. The same kids that were born back in 2014, now in 2024, they just want to chill. They have
Well, we're also
jobs,
dismissing like a lot of the
That's
old
why-
clan leaders that you guys remember, like Shaky Divine and Power and General
So-
JB and all them old heads.
That's why you make your personnel do 30 minutes of crouch shutters every day. It's fun for
My mind
everyone.
was so blown, dude. My mind was so blown when I found out that ROEs existed in raids. After I got like Reach days, you just went on whatever the fuck map they chose to throw up. This whole scouting thing, like it blew, dude. I was so confused because I didn't do raids for probably all of Halo 5. I was strictly involved in just the comp scene, and then I come to Reach, and I was so pumped to get back into military clans and start doing raids again and stuff. And then I found I was like, oh, yeah, we got to scout your base, and I'm like, you got to fucking what?
To be honest,
They're like, yeah, and you can't have a tank bombing spawn anymore. And I was like, I don't get to get spawn killed for 15 minutes. It's not fun.
So, in my opinion, I think that's a good step we took as a community. There should be standards set for raids in terms of map quality. Even if you disagree, it prevents stuff like that. It prevents hallways, prevents kill boxes, which are still around, but it prevents bridge maps. Stuff like that. Like,
I agree now.
We're supposed to be.
I didn't when I first got into it.
Yeah, but it's like we're supposed to be representing a real life military, but we can't because we have no actual military quote unquote power like airstrikes or bombings. But realistically, a hallway would be bombed. So standards for raids like scouting is actually a very good step forward that we took as a community, even if some people find it dumb. Not saying you, but just in general.
Yeah.
So moving on. Go ahead.
We want to
Tim.
continue, Reese.
What was the main point that I had to talk about? Sorry, it's been like 40 minutes.
Excuse me, gentlemen. What do you need, Tim?
I would say in whole Halo for the last 2 years, we've only had one open raid that we've seen, which is against the Furry Clan, and that was it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I hope you guys won that. I hope you guys won that.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
If that happens, body disrespect's allowed.
Tim, did you win?
Yes, we won. We fucking melt them like butter.
All right.
Okay. We'll reel with that.
It's all of us in the game after we won.
Moving on to innovation. I'll go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about a couple of things that we personally have in the works as far as what are some new experiences that we can bring to the community. How can we innovate what we already have, right? How can we build upon what we already have? And for me personally, one of the things I've been trying to work out over the past couple of months is we've been putting together scripting for a search and destroy mode. We're trying to make it super easy to where you can just plop the script down onto your map, put the zones where you want it, and bada bing, bada boom, everything falls into place. It'll probably take a couple more months before it's actually fully hashed out, but we'd love to hear some ideas from you guys on things that maybe we could do a trade deal on. You know, if you have forgers but lack scripters or something like that, maybe we could join forces and come up with something. But Solstice, I know you guys fresh. You got a couple of Forge maps under your belt. With some really awesome details in
Yeah,
it.
we're
Done some firefights, some
we're
PvE
fairly
stuff.
new. Yep, definitely big into the PvE scene. We really big fans of the whole AI ability that Forge in this game brought. So we've been doing what we just consider operations. So we've just been taking our own lore and trying to create storylines for it using the PvE scene. So we've just been coming up with different stuff like that, different scenarios, campaign style stuff to go through just for entertainment purposes. Not everybody always wants to sweat their ass off in the externals, so it's been
There's
nice.
also another one that I know Hithus is working on. I didn't mean to cut you off. Solstice almost called you Druid or Vex. The fuck?
All three.
Yeah. All three. So Hithus is currently. This has been worked on for like a year now, but originally it was called Ground War. I don't know if any of you played 2042, the Blitz game mode. We were planning on making something similar to that, but utilizing our technology with it. So one team would have like the orbital laser strike that we have, and one team would have the airstrike script that we have. And you'd be able to actually call in tanks and stuff with currencies that you would get, or points you get from taking points. And as you kind of progress through taking the map, the zones move back, and so do spawns, until you get to the last base, which is going to be modeled like a raid base. Mm-hmm. So basically, you're fighting, the entire battlefield all the way to the raid base using this scripting and this technology. That's something that Hithus has been working on for a while now.
Very cool. Yeah, we would definitely like to get involved in that whenever that comes out. That sounds fun as fuck. But as far as like our Forge techs go, we just at this point we're just brainstorming 24/7. So any cool crazy idea we come up with, we just launch a fucking map and just see what we can figure out. So
hell yeah.
I will let you know if we come up with anything drastic or unheard of, and we'll get things going. But ATI?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a new clan, somewhat like you guys. Only been around just shy of a year, about a month out, so nice little anniversary coming up. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to make maps and adjust maps to fit like a tactical setting. I mean, we're not as advanced as many other clans around here that already have maps and a lot of things like that. But I do have a lot of ambitions based on like scripted game modes, like payload systems. That sounds fucking awesome to me. I don't know if any of you guys have ever played Overwatch or even know what I'm talking about. Even like Paladins.
Like the tug of war type thing?
Kind of like a tug of war, yeah. And like putting the payload into the, end. Well, it doesn't have like the most militaristic, values behind it in terms of that. It just sounds really cool to play a game of tug of war, honestly. And I feel like if I was to make it in like a tactical setting, that would be even better. Because that's what my clan, loves. Right. And yeah, I mean, just trying to innovate new things. I mean, not that raids are any bit bad. I know that every single clan here, probably besides my clan, participates in them. I have for a long time been in the clan community and have loved raids. I still do. I just know a lot of my clan doesn't for their own different reasons, which I can get into later if any of you guys want to talk.
Well, there are blitzes, there are 8v8s, there are 4v4s. There's actually TAC wars.
There's tons
of
different game modes out there.
Yeah,
there's different game modes for people that want to play them.
There's,
so, I mean, we're always going to schedule them.
Different revenues to go, avenues to go around.
Represent Valor, and we're always down to schedule any events, like any game mode. Doesn't really matter. Like, we're always down to schedule. Just hit us up. We'll determine the day and time.
All right.
Drew, real quick, I have to step away for a second. Olympus is going to take my spot till I get back.
Understood. And if we want to talk about innovation, which is the topic, this is going to sound
so it would be, sorry, Requiem, but Chara, Tennessee, you'd be next up.
It's all good. I don't really have too much to add to this. We are trying to get more into the PvE style kind of combat, but also keep it within the realm of, I guess, the military or milsim style. We've been linking up with an old friend of mine, UHR. UHR Achilles and I have been talking. We've been doing a lot of joint trainings, and one of the trainings we've recently done is actually a live fire convoy. Something I personally haven't done in years. I'm sure other clans probably still do them to a degree, but they actually have like a fully PvE variant of it, and it has been a complete blast. I know both groups had a lot of fun with it. Definitely something I'd recommend. The map they had was more of a free roam, kind of set like the campaign. It was just really nice, honestly. It was really relaxing.
Interesting.
Other than that, yeah, we haven't really. We're pretty traditional and just kind of doing what we've always done. So innovation's not really been in our corner.
I gotcha.
No problem with
The
that.
long
I think
tradition
that's-
is paramount.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I mean, it's good to stay to tradition and like what you like. Like, I don't know if my clan would, ever become interested in other, things other than tactics, but
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes with that. Yeah, we do raids, team tax, 4v4s. It's just about having fun. Half the people in our clan only get on Halo at all. The only reason it's even on their Xbox is for clan activity. They don't play matchmaking. They don't care about it. They just like the clan stuff.
We have a few of those as well.
When it comes to innovation, we're always looking to innovate, mostly because raids fucking suck, to be honest with you. It's not a good game mode. Anyone who holds on to that game mode is coping. It relies on GA's ROE to be playable, and even then, it's barely playable. So we're always looking for new game modes. A game mode I really hope gets elaborated on in the community, though, is Vanguard had a rush style, if you ever played Battlefield game mode, that we get to play at Death Square. My guys fucking love that. Yeah, my guys love that. Hopefully that gets worked on more. But when it comes to us, we're still looking to expand upon Frontlines more. Again, another Battlefield-esque game mode. I don't know how many of you here have played it. I know we ran it with a few of you guys. It's just push and pull game mode. And then we still are looking to expand upon Pack War, which is just basically a mix of flat war from Halo 5 and Tech to make it less boring, where everyone's just kind of dead, spectating for 15 minutes while their teammate hides in a corner. Not fun for anyone. And those are the game modes we mainly have in mind. We have had wants for like an S&D game mode as well. I know someone mentioned that prior. We've been looking for that, but we don't really have the forging capabilities to expand all these game modes at once. And that's the hardest thing about game modes, is getting them supported. Having only 1 or 2, 3 maps isn't enough. You need like 8, 9, 10. So it stays fresh for everyone and then gets other people wanting to make their own. Hopefully, though, Vanguard does expand upon that, though. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I will mention that.
Yeah, so on the Enclave, Enclave side of things, towards innovation, we're always focused on trying to implement more Fallout aspects of the game. We obviously go off and we recreate iconic locations in the Fallout universe, such as Hoover Dam, the GNR Plaza, Capitol Building, all things like that. But we're also trying to go off and implement a lot of prefabs and implements from that game. So, for example, we're working on a mini nuke, Liberty Prime. On that aspect, we're just trying to bring Fallout to this game. We're also working on a completely supported mod based on MCC. Once again, immersing us more into the Fallout world, which is implementing more of the guns and scenery.
Yeah.
But the game types,
I
though, I will
love
say,
everything that I've seen from Enclave. Everything that comes out of you guys is just fantastic.
I will say that recent work that I've seen in Forge Creations and Citadel is fucking phenomenal.
Was that you guys' warp tunnel? It was like a teleportation.
No, that was somebody else's.
That was somebody else's.
Okay.
No, the thing we recently saw was Fort Hagen.
Embassy, I believe. Oh, that.
Fort Hagen's
That was the
beautiful
Fort Hagen.
looking.
Yeah, it's coming out really well. I'm in the process of creating alongside Divine Axios, who's been an excellent forager for us, and happy to have him on board. But yeah, it's not that we're against innovating to new game types or anything like that. We're just simply well aware that other groups are innovating in that aspect, and once you've been able to support that, either through the scripting or game types and everything, we'll move on with that. But at this moment, we're just simply trying to integrate our own style, our infrastructure, and so forth into the game itself. And we have everything from iBots to, eateries and, anything. We're really excited on what we've been able to build so far.
I'm a long-time Fallout 76 player, so I love hearing all that.
Yeah, we've seen plenty more maps in the Forge channels.
In terms of innovation, we don't really focus on developing new game modes or anything like that. The whole thing for us is immersion, creating an experience for our members. So whether that be through developing systems that are interactive for the base itself. Hithus, we've talked about this extensively. All of our maps are made to be able to support any type of training, raids, where anything can happen on it. Like if you need to host a meeting, it needs to be
extremely multi-purposed.
Exactly. That way, the map itself has meaning. We create lore for it, and then integrate systems based off of scripting to maintain systems on the map, whether that be for security, actual functions of like fuel sources and stuff like that. The more immersion that you can get, the better. Everything else is kind of like a distraction for us.
Understandable. So you're very intentional with what you put your time and energy into. If it doesn't have a purpose within your lore and your story, then it's not happening.
Yes.
I find myself wasting hours making my Spartan be able to throw golf balls and kill people.
Nothing wrong with either totem of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we are on Iron's Legion. That's
yeah, we are.
not to cut you off.
No, not at all. Not at all.
In terms of maps, I usually tend to add like a story to them, especially when it came down to the foraging back on H5. I always intend to add a story to either maps, and then especially for the other aspects when I've been doing some massive recruiting, and I've had a member currently trying to help out my guys with some drill instructing and all that. So I do plan on kind of maybe building up a training map at some point. But currently I'm still trying to do some finishing touches. If you guys happen to go off and play like the Titanfall games back in the day, there was the attrition game mode back then, where you had both the PvP and VE, which is kind of more similar to the Warzone games back in H5. I tried to go off and implement that a little bit more to our games, and hopefully, as I said, finish up any of the touches that I may have gone off and missed. And as I still go off and get like other ideas from my guys, to see like what other things we can implement, and just try to come up with some like other little ideas.
I'm assuming it's my turn.
Yes, thanks.
Yes, I get to talk. I love this. I get to talk. All right.
And you know what? I don't mind because you have a good talking voice. You're easy to listen to.
Oh, shucks. You're making me blush.
Probably great at recruiting.
I'm actually not much of a recruiter. I'm definitely a retention guy.
I can see it.
Yeah, that's not normally what I work with. So we've been working on several different things when it comes to game modes and maps. Of course, if you guys keep track of the announcements in the Citadel, we recently released 3 of our maps as open source for any newer clan to use to get started into raiding and having your own custom bases. And we're continuing to work on that as a clan, making more maps for newer clans to be able to use, so that we can help expand the clan community, which has been one of our core principles over the last couple of months. Also, of course, we've been developing plenty of maps for our own personal use against you guys. Our own personal use, and then with the operations game mode, I'll go ahead and touch on that really quick. Currently, I have not heard from Polari very recently, but he was working on, and is currently still in progress, working on a Battlefield 1 operations game mode. One of my favorite memories from high school was getting off of school Friday night and staying up all night playing operations with the boys. So how it kind of works is you have one team is a defending team, one team's an attacking team. The defending team is defending a point, the attacking team tries to take that point, and then the map moves backwards, and the defending team moves backwards. And it goes several times until you reach kind of a final base that's a bit stronger than the rest. And if the attacking team can take all those points within an hour, is kind of how we have it set right now, they win. We do want to work on some scripting to make it more like that operations game mode, and also develop some more maps for it. The map that we have right now is fantastic. It's like if you combined Battlefield 1 and Halo into into an experience. That's kind of how that feels. When it comes to innovation as a clan in general, we've also put a huge emphasis. I run a branch called Centuries, which I mentioned earlier, which is basically a few of us more experienced raiders. We are teaching some of our low tiers how to raid and how to defend our maps. And, we're going over ROE and raid defense, stuff like that. So we are making a major push just to help newer members of the community or less skilled members of the community get better at what is been and what will continue to be a core game mode of the Halo Clan community. So those are some things we're working on right now. Very exciting things. You guys will hear more about it in the coming months.
Erotoner?
Yeah, so I mean, I was messaging Clean and Nissan and asking them about the Forge and things that we're innovating on that way. Up for trades, just to let you guys all know, Roombas scripted for your raid bases if you guys want them.
Beautiful.
No, but SOR works on a lot more internal maps, right? Like each of our fire teams are creating meeting maps and training maps for their own fire teams. And then obviously our raid bases, a lot of you guys have played on. So, that's what we're all constantly trying to drive is innovation within the fire teams to grow SOR from the inside out. And that's a big thing that we look at with the addition of like our competitive team. We have a raid team that we've started that we have trainings for and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we look at it, what can we give back to our members? And we've never really been good at posting that kind of stuff out in the Citadel. SOR kind of stays to themselves that way. But something looking at changing, putting up our raid maps in the Citadel for you guys to check out or any of our scripts and stuff like that.
Something that we've been working on like how to reward our battle groups and like our chapters, right? Because a lot of them have not necessarily like their own facilities, but we have made facilities like for them for training. But we have ambitions to make each of our battle groups or each of our chapters a main facility, but we want them to build it themselves by buying it. So one of our members has been working on a bot that allows us to add currency to our battle groups and our chapters. It's not individual, so it's group based. But you would get more coins, say, so our battle groups are 15 members. And if we had a raid event and 7 of the members that showed up for that were from battle group 3, then they would get 7, personnel's worth of coins and would eventually be able to start buying stuff to put on their base, like in their facility. Like, oh, you want a shooting range with AI, $2,000 or something like that. That's something that we're also kind of hashing out that I think is really cool, and I'm hoping that it is as simple as it seems, because it seems extremely simple. It just uses a dash command. You just add money to the group and it's done, and then you put in the amount that you want. But I don't know, it seems cool. We'll see how it goes.
So Anger is working on also a tank mode as well. That is like a first-person tank mode. I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
do
are
have-
working on some. Sorry, I'll take that. We are working
go
on
ahead.
setting up a variety of tank battle maps. Both the pure type, where it's literally just tanks, as well as like the all-out war, where you have everything at your disposal. But of course, that would be silly because take the tank. So, that's going to be something that's going to be a lot of fun if we can get more people into it. And even expanding on that, just having the vehicles role a little more important. I know they didn't do a good job with them in this one, but there's still a lot of fun to be had.
Like a World of Tanks game, so to speak.
Kind of, yeah. Except you can also be a Spartan, so it's fun.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Druid, I have returned.
Welcome back.
I don't know whose turn I stole.
It should be Enterprise, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. So now, with what we're doing, I'm personally one of the bigger forgers in our clan. And I don't have a whole lot of time. However, I have been making my own Team SAC maps that I'd like to play test at some point whenever they're finally done. Now, I would love to take up anyone's offers in, if you guys would be willing to make us raid maps. I will quite literally pay you. We'll figure out our own shit. But, yeah. Not a whole lot from us. You guys are cooking. we're sitting there in the restaurant, you know, we're sampling everything. We just love being a part of the community.
Reese, who got his turd missed.
So I'll go into innovation first, and then I'll go back to the first topic. But for innovation, Hyperion is very busy. Our foragers are practically sweatshop workers. So we brought back Invasion from Halo Reach into Infinite. It wasn't very well liked, I'm assuming because it was 10 years old at the time, and people have moved past Invasion. But the Invasion game mode is here. There is 2 maps for it. The game mode is still there. We still do it once in a while, but we've moved on to 2 other projects where we also have a Forge team creating old Halo 5 Obliterate maps. That includes Downtown, Fuse, Blizzard, Harbor, you name it. We're trying to remake it. Right now, Downtown has almost been completed with the help of Typhoon Z from Red 7. And apart from that, we're also working on a new type of raid system called Territory Raids, which is a throwback to some of you old Halo 5 heads from Remnant, it was, who did a territory raid, kind of like Strongholds, but you have to take each point before you can take the main base, and that means you start with very little weapons to take the first, I'll say base, kind of. That base is very like under-geared, under-prepared. After you take that base, you would gain more weapons, more equipment, whatever. You would take the second base. After you take that, more gear, more equipment, and then the final base would be the overall stronghold. At that point, you have almost endless amounts of equipment, but also the defenders have almost endless amounts of defending equipment, meaning a sniper and a skewer, rockets, hydras, etc. We're still working on how to tweak it, make it fair, but that's something that we're working on right now as well. And yeah, that's just for innovation for us right now. So we're working day and night along with our normal standard team tech maps, raid maps, and with our alliance with Endeavor. We have to make them their own maps ourselves every 2 months. So our foragers are very hard at work.
Constantly working. That's awesome.
And then going back to the first topic, since I was skipped, what was it? State of the community, right? It's been like almost an hour.
Yes, yes. Please, please.
State of the community, we have very similar opinions to UNR in the sense of the umbrella term. I talked about this earlier, like this week. I hate the streamlined definition of a military clan because at that point you're just becoming Visari and then Ricky Lane. You can only have this. You must do this. The whole old ways of Reach are gone, and that's thanks to the fact that Reach was more of a casual game. Halo 5 and Halo Infinite are more competitive based, more competitive focused. 343 has moved away from the have fun aspect of Halo. So that's what kind of broke the community in a sense of what a military clan is. But the whole mix between comp and Milsim, like Vanguard, Valor, I would say UNR and other clans at this table and in voice chat is, again, what the future is. So, but we shouldn't just be saying that you're not a military clan because you don't do basic trainings or you don't do this style of raids. It's every clan's a little bit different. For us, we don't do basic trainings, but we have trainings. We have training maps. We do a lot of internal events for training. But are we considered a military clan because we don't have a basic training? I don't know. That'd be up to you guys to decide. But yeah,
I don't think that one thing would make or break whether or not you be a Milsim clan.
Like honestly, with me, like as I said, for us being a PMC, like some PMC groups like tend to have like more of the training maps themselves, but I don't really bother doing with any of that. I try to go off and kind of veer away from that whole the whole role-playing aspect of just like doing all of the boot camp bullshit. That pardon my French. But I tend to, with my guys, I tended to be more with the individual progression, kind of let the guys, my guys, learn from their own perspectives, their own experiences, and if they ask like for some like additional help, either with like some mechanics, aiming, or weapon training, all that, like, yeah, we'll go ahead and assist him with that, but we don't really bother with that kind of role playing aspect of the boot camps and all that other bullshit.
I'll step in real quick myself here. We're a clan that I guess you could say still does like BCTs or boot camps. We don't do it for the roleplay aspect. Something a lot of people have probably noticed is that Halo Infinite has a lot of new players, right? Community is pretty much chock full of new players. If you're one of the smaller clans like us who recruits as often as we do, you're going to find new people who. We've had several people where Halo Infinite was their first shooter, let alone their first Halo. Our BCT is pretty much just designed to teach people who don't know the mechanics, don't know the game, and basically just help teach them, like, what's a crouch jump? How do you crouch jump? How do you use the repulsor, the grapple shot? Small things. It's not like this big, overdeveloped thing. I do know when Halo Infinite first came out, when we first got Forge, it was like we had a 6-hour BCT. I'm just gonna say it straight up. We were with the old head traditional BCT that was like 6 hours. Our BCT now, if you're competent, you can get it done in 30 minutes. Like, it's basically just, if you know how to play the game, good for you. If you don't, we're here to teach you how to play the game.
Yeah.
I'd like to add on to that with how we kind of structure our BCTs. So we do have BCT map. We actually, if you have a lot of clan and raid experience, we do bypass you on the BCT map. We don't make you run through it. It does touch on a lot of those mechanics that you mentioned there, Azrael. I'm reading your Discord name. If your name is different in game. But I don't just use. But with the influx of new players, I don't just use the BCT to just show people a couple of mechanics. I've actually implemented a system with our HDI, USMC Buck, where not only do we run them through a mechanics map with like a little RP bit at the end where we have some banished attack the map. It's pretty cool until someone broke the script. And but I also will run them through our general structure. Like, I'll explain what the Marauders are, what the Sentries are, what the Reavers are. Shepard's in charge. Smiley's our military director. We've got the lower echelon, and they run the branches in our PR department and all that. And then I'll also explain to them what a raid is, because that's one of our core game modes that we do. And then I'll offer to show them one of our raid maps, normally Castor or Firebase Monarch, if any of you recognize those names. So my BCTs normally aren't just focused on making sure they know mechanics, but also so they know how our clan works in general and how our structure is. Because when I first came into the clan, I just kind of got ran through a BCT, thrown into a raid, and I didn't have a damn clue how the structure of the Vanguard worked for at least a few days. And so that's also something that we've kind of implemented as a clan, just make sure they know kind of what they're getting into and what we do. That's all.
Beautiful. Yeah, ours is pretty lengthy, I'm not gonna lie. We have usually about a 30-minute orientation. Then we have a 6-week recruit phase that they have to go through.
May I interject here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have a BCT, right? It's the only one we do in Valor is our BCT, and that's basically it. If you do any sort of role play, it'll be like in the arcs. The arcs have like their own class in that, and they have their own structure and what they have, because the arcs are they're our competitive branch. They are the best, our special force and whatnot, right? So that's more role play because it requires that, like, they have that role play aspect that they just enjoy or whatever, and that's that. But in terms of the army, when you first join Valor, the only thing you gotta do is role play at all is BDT. It's like an hour, walking through like a raid sim and end up breach and clear or whatever, and parkour, shoot, whatever, whatnot. And after that, let you into the clan. We also have like a currency system that we have, where if you do events, you can basically make in-game currency that you use to buy armor pieces and all of that. Not just events, but also like little missions in that way we have set up, like complete X amount of ranked games or X amount of ETBs with a member of your regiment or whatnot, and plenty of different ways that you can, and talents can be used to rank up, along with buying armor pieces, stuff, uniform, and among other uses. So,
all right, let's have a good night. Long live THL.
Yeah, we have a credit system as well, which you earn by playing in events, and we also post weekly bounties. It's normally 3 or 4 matchmaking events, 3 or 4 events, and then sometimes I'll throw something in like a 1v1 someone from another clan, or recruit a member into Vanguard, or sometimes I'll even do like a joke one, like just text Smiley that he's handsome, or tell him to hop on the sticks, or just a joke like that to get a free credit. We have when it comes to the bounty system, though, when it comes to the credit system, we do keep it pretty simple, where it's just used strictly to rank up, but we have a very high ceiling for enlisted ranks. And then we're also working on a medal system that are enlisted who aren't interested in leadership at all, where they can still like earn commendations and recognition. And on top of that, our branches also have their own tier systems. Like in Centuries, the more events you play in, you get a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 added to your account based on your activity within the branch. So those are some other things that we do as well with our structure.
We also use a promotion point system. That's what we call it, at least, where we have set medals that you can, by earning medals within different games like BTB or like Killing Frenzy and Ranked, earn a Perfection, earn a Demon, stuff like that. And when they post proof that they achieved it, they earn promotional points. And so everything, all rank with clan, like the full rank within our clan, is set by your contributions that you're putting in. So you earn, let's say, 2 points for attending an event, earn about 10 points a week just by attending events. So half an enlisted rank up just by attending events, and then going and doing things for yourself in BTB matches, earning those accomplishments gets you points too. So there's no favoritism, which is something awesome that we created with that concept. Is everything you do is earned through yourself.
Yeah, Hyperion does a mix of both your clans, actually. So we have something called battle points, which is, so in our clan we have ribbons and medals, ribbons being accommodations you can earn. Like if the raid team goes 100 kills over the enemy team in a raid, or we go a perfect blitz raid map or whatever, right? Those earn you ribbons. Prestige points, after you hit 100, you prestige, and those are medals. But we also have the exchange system like Valor and Vanguard, with the fact that you can earn clan credits to build your armor, to build your whatever you want via our store. And there's a lot of things on our store coming here soon that we're expanding, but yeah.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, I have to depart. The UNSC dogs are back at it again, and I have to go defend the homeland.
Understandable.
Thank you. Yeah, in a mode where we only have warthogs. I really
Good luck in your war, Vanguardian.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you all. Reach out to me if you guys need any activity, especially for your low mids. I'm honored that I got to meet with y'all here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Tier will see you out if you don't mind.
Oh, I just left the lobby. My apologies.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, guys. You have a good one.
Be safe, man.
I believe that I would like to interject my turn on the topic. I didn't get to talk about it. So
yeah, I
I'm
was
gonna
going
go
to say
over
my apologies for those of you that aren't in game that I don't have eyes on. If any of these organizations are getting skipped over, please let me know.
Yeah, I'm not coming
yeah.
on the first topic. Obviously, I mean that topic has probably been beaten to death already. So I'll kind of go over the second topic a little bit and give kind of like my take. So I've heard people talk about like game modes, maps, and what they do inside their clans and stuff like that. But I'd say it's more. We wish for more innovation externally, and what we mean is we wish for more clans to interact more with the larger community. Because the more clans that interact, the more activity that we can get, and the more that our community thrives and becomes active and does events with each other, and the more fun we all have at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we're all here to have fun, and we're all here to do stuff. We're all here to chill and vibe and play, whichever we want to play, whether it be raids, BTBs, even TAC wars, like how UNRS was going over earlier, right? He doesn't like raids, that's fine. Not every clan is gonna like raids, but there are other modes that we can all play.
If I may,
am
Requiem.
down. Yep.
As I don't mean to kind of intrude on your speech, as you did make a good point about like for majority of the groups to try to interact with each other a bit more and try to make some decent connections, try to make some more activities. But at the same time as well, take into consideration when it comes to the newer groups, as I'm sure probably majority of us have probably seen from the growth, like there's going to be some newer groups that's going to probably be a bit more on a intimidation. They're not going to really make much of a connection
And I can
with
actually
either of
help,
us. Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can actually help kind of suit that a little by giving one tip. Don't mind what's said in Citadel, because if you mind what's said in Citadel, your groups can get intimidated. Because half the time, whenever people are in Citadel, they're just trolling, they're doing stupid shit, talking about stupid shit or whatnot, right? They're not actually being legitimately serious half the time regarding topics. Half the time, it's just people going at one another and whatnot, and it's not actually any serious interaction. So,
TLDR, shit posting.
I mean, I'm going to stop you there, Drip. But sorry, but that's the opposite effect of what you actually think it is. We pride ourselves as Hyperion by interacting with a lot of what people would call the custom browser clan community, right? Not in Citadel, not any mainstream servers, barely in any embassies. The reason they don't join Citadel is because of that. Yeah, you can say don't be intimidated, but it's a fact that, yes, and I will name drop clans, Red 7, Navcom, Solus, are toxic, very egotistical, will just start shit talking for no reason at all, and you can say they're joking. Sure, but these clans who are golds, plats, maybe low diamonds, not trying to offend anyone, but they don't want to deal with that. They're always talked down on, they're always shit talked, and that's why there's so many community servers popping up that die because, no offense, Griffinizer practically tries to kill those communities for competition. Why do you think no other community server but IO7 competed with Citadel for so long? Because Acrofall and Griffinizer just refused to even try and use cohesion. That they competed for years.
But also,
I mean,
Well,
certain,
also
I mean,
was that-
to argue that point back, right? Certain people, obviously, in terms of community servers and all that, had their own little agendas, like Acrofall, for people like that, whatever, right? But what you get in Citadel is a little bit different than what you get if you actually schedule and interact with these clans. Like, I can't speak for every single clan that's in there. There are certain ones that I would say most new clans would probably avoid. Like, if just a tier of players alone, like Redwater, because they're more like a mid-high clan for us that we usually do events with. So, and they don't have a lot of low-tier players. Like, they don't have a lot of low-tier players. Their players are probably the lowest that they think will probably like Diamond. Any clan that's like flat or lower generally should try to like hold off on schedule with them until they can either try to get better with their players or have higher tier players or whatnot. And I would say you could schedule with them.
Like even to me and my guys, at a certain extent, like with the back to the intimidation and with Rise, to my perspective, Rise making a valid point where like, and I'm not trying to make any kind of reference to the Citadel at all because that's just its own little hub itself. It's just, I was talking more in a general aspect, either if it is another group that joins into Citadel or if it's another group that's in the custom browsers or whatever, as going back to another topic as well, when my clan was kind of being more classified as a custom browser group because we spent majority of our time there in the customs and trying to just only going for fun in that. But as I will admit, before Valor and especially you, Requiem, coming over to us to set up events, I was still a bit intimidated beforehand, and even with like Vanguard, with their recent wars with Legacy before they tore down, and then doing a lot of and then some of the other groups that are much bigger and much higher tiers than my group, which is more of like silvers, high golds, all that. Like, the intimidation was still kind of sitting there, and especially for being here and just kind of sitting here with the majority of the others, like, the intimidation is still going to be sitting there.
And to jump off Tyler, unlike Halo 5, I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but in Halo 5, easily the top 15 clans always had golds, plats, low diamonds, silvers. In Infinite, the top 15 clans don't. You'll find very few top 15,
20.
top 20, thank you, clans that have plats or below. So for us, as a very mixed clan, it's hard for us to find events that are plat and gold. And every time we do, we get stacked on. Because clans don't have that, which is why we don't talk with a lot of the mainstream clans. But for mid-high, yeah, we'll talk to them all day. And that's the problem with Citadel. Most of the clans there are egotistical, very mid-high tiers, very, very, very few low mids that interact with Citadel because of the factor of toxicity and other factors that I mentioned before. Which is why things like this, what Hithus is doing, is amazing. It's bringing forth,
Rise, I also
no
believe
offense, smaller
that
clans.
Yeah, no offense to you. No offense to you, your clan. I'm like, your clan is pretty decent when it comes to scheduling with us, right? You know, and all that. But I don't believe that every group is as toxic as Citadel. I believe that maybe it's just certain people that are in certain groups, and it's just certain people that talk into the most that are the most toxic. But if you genuinely interact, and I'm going to say this to every clan that's in here that hasn't really interacted with Citadel very much at all, the clans that are in it, right? If you actually take the time to interact with these groups, you'll find that there are people that, like, the groups themselves aren't that bad. Like, they'll be more cordial in terms of scheduling with you. Obviously, certain clans, if you're a low enough tier, you should avoid, just so you avoid getting mismatched against. Obviously, but I mean, Valor, we can balance a bit because we have some low tiers that we can throw. Obviously, not that many. We don't have like a crazy amount of low tier players. Like, we have more high tiers than we do low, but we do have some low tiers to throw at people. So we do have some gold and plats. So we do a bunch of plats and diamonds. Like majority of
If I
our
can kind of
army.
backpack off of that, plus what Chris was saying. Not to cut you off, Ev, I don't know what you
No,
guys
you're
do first.
it's Mike to let you go, and then I'd like to add on to what you have to say. I think we have a lot of similar opinions, but yeah, you go, sir.
Yeah. So not only is there a problem with like, not necessarily a problem. Sorry, I phrased that wrong. The community's become more of a competitive community. There's nothing wrong with that. Back in Halo 5 days, I lived in that. I breathed it. It was amazing. But I have found a love for just casually enjoying the game once again and just not going comp. I mean, like, yeah, I'm a competitive guy. I get my fair share of it. And there's nothing wrong with competitive time to time. And not that I'm judging anybody else's things. But back onto skill, because I'm getting deviated. Skill matters a lot in a lot of games. Now, there's a lot of things that you can't do to go ahead and, get rid of that. But a lot of that is the stuff that my clan is doing. Not that there's anything wrong with not doing that. But a lot of clans that are newer to the community and trying to do raids and things like that, I disagree. If you're not seasoned, if you don't have the chemistry, and if you're not like there and stuff, you're just not going to be able to compete. Simply put, you're not. It takes a long time. And with your relationship with Endeavor, if I can speak on that, Reese, is that okay?
Go for it. And I'll just interject if you do say anything wrong, because you know very little bit.
No,
I think you know enough to talk on it.
Yeah. So, like, you were recently telling me that, like, they recently got a win on you guys. And, it's through a long time, from what I'm aware of. I mean, it's still short in retrospect, but it's still a long time of a few months of playing and playing and playing until they could finally win. And that's coming from a seasoned clan that Reese leads. I mean, that's also insanely good players. I mean, Endeavor's nothing to scoff your, bones at. I mean, Jesus. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that Tyler and other clans are, intimidated by clans like that. There's nothing wrong with competitive drive, but, stacking lineups, even whenever it happens to clans like Hyperion, which have been in the community for a long time.
Smart for you here.
Yes, sir.
All right, you'll speak in my stead for a minute. I've got to step away.
But even Hithus, I'm sorry if I'm also overstepping in that. I know that they've been pulled players on. They announced that, and that was the whole reason for the revamp of their server and stuff, and trying to, bring everyone together and stuff, and to kind of get this, meeting to unfold. So then there isn't as many problems. I don't know what you guys deal with. I mean, I know Reese kind of speaks out on, him getting pulled on. Tyler, do you get anybody? Everyone speak out. I mean, what clans pull on you. I mean, maybe we don't got to directly call them out, but I'm sure there's clans that you guys can think of. And
I
it isn't just that; it's also
I don't happen to really recall from our previous externals if we happen to get pulled from any.
you and I
other
didn't. I
groups.
vetted them pretty well. Yeah.
I personally try not to pull players too much on anyone. I try to be as fair as possible whenever I schedule with people. I try to stick to that tier of player as much as I can. Now, there are limits. Obviously, there are always going to be limits, right? I'm not going to be perfect, and sometimes my guys aren't going to want to hop on a specific day. So sometimes I have to pull in some certain players that are a little bit higher or lower than the tier specified. Because I can't pull the required tier player at that time because I just don't have enough people. Like even a big clan such as Valor can sometimes struggle with pulling a specific tier player because
Of course, it's accommodation.
Yeah,
it's accommodation, and it's something that both
we
clans
try
kind
to
of have to deal with.
accommodate clans as much as possible. We try to be as fair as possible. We try to be as reasonable as possible. We try to communicate as best as we can. Like, if you schedule with us at any capacity, I'm not saying that you have to. We're not forcing you. But if we're down, just hit me up at DMs or whatever, and you can start scheduling events and all that. And I will ensure that everybody gets a fair experience. Because I'm not one to be fair. I am one to be fair, and I'm a fair man.
But that's what matters.
Boils down to the original topic that was brought up a couple hours ago. Just the integrity in the community just has to get better. But once that integrity is upheld a little bit better, and we'll actually enjoy doing random raids and all that fun shit again.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Because there are certain people in certain clans that you should definitely not schedule. At least try to avoid especially if you're like.
That's a big thing, though. Why do the clans also allow that? And then the integrity needs to be upheld by them, right? It isn't just a whole, let's try to do better. Let's do things to make it better.
What it comes down to is simple petty beef. Some clans just hold grudges for way too long. It happens to us with one certain clan. We don't play them anymore. We barely talk to them. And when we do talk with them, it comes into a arguing match. It's like Requiem said, you try to be transparent, communicate. Some clans don't want to do that. They have a grudge against you. They want to shit on you. Sorry for language. They want to prove that you're nothing to them, and they'll stack you and say, "No, we never stacked," or "You're just over exaggerating." Sorry, man, but when 4 onyxes are in a mid, good, high onyxes are in a low to mid tier raid with no real CSR cap, those onyxes are going to stampede low tiers. No offense.
Yeah.
Even diamonds good. I mean, you take a. Oh, go ahead.
And these are not just they're ranked onyxes. These are seasoned raid onyx veterans who play ranked, but also very seasoned, so they have the skill advantage and experience advantage over golds who are good at raids but don't have that gun skill to compete.
Yeah, and I think the Enterprise wanted to talk right after my point. I don't know if I really said what they wanted to say or whether they want to piggyback or make a new point.
You said half of it. Mr. Requiem, or sorry, I didn't even see your fucking tag whenever you were talking a whole lot. I'm very far from my TV. Or Mr. Huntford. No, you're fine, brother. Okay, it was Requiem, sorry. I'm just gonna tell you right now, first impressions off of what I've seen in the Citadel, literally first day. I mean, yeah, of course, everybody shitposts. Maybe not. That's a huge over exaggeration. But ultimately, I get what you're saying. But ultimately, if people are going to take it that far, then you kind of question what kind of a group they are to have those people in them and have them represent you, especially if the Citadel is supposed to be this great place for every clan to come together and interact with. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be able to be monkeys and be extraordinarily civil at the same time, especially if people are taking their monkeying around to new depths every day.
I'm going to interject here. Some clans do regulate what their members say at Citadel. And one clan that actually surprisingly does this extremely well is actually Redwater. They regulate their members like hell, and they will take their members' roles if they start acting up the Citadel. They will, like, their leadership will literally ask staff to take the members' roles away from them. That way, they're not like representing Redwater when they're
Taking representation away, as in just a role, doesn't solve the ulterior motive or anything like that. That's just putting a band-aid on a like scar. Not even to call out Redwater. I mean, like, that is literally putting a band-aid on a scar. The damage is already done.
It didn't solve the problem at all.
So it doesn't solve the problem. It's just.
And I believe they've also kicked a member or two, if I'm not mistaken.
Kicking solves
Yeah.
Kicking solves it, but
they've kicked certain people. They've done certain stuff, and now there are some clans that are very unfiltered with that. Like, let's say Enigma / Legacy. Like, their Legacy would have their members go in Citadel.
Ape shit.
Vanguard too. They would go ape shit. But I mean, Valor, we don't like go too crazy in the servers a lot of the time. Like, whenever people do, it's just like our leadership.
80% of the chats are off the wall
on it.
I feel like most of you have had an opportunity to see the conversations that Colonizer or Spinal Tear, for most of you will probably know him as, recently has had in the Citadel, just all kinds of silly stuff. Yeah, quality name, right? But yeah, I mean, the Citadel is the Citadel. At the end of the day, I feel like it's just try to check your people. If it's something over the top, then you need to handle it for yourself, because you're represented by the people that you keep within your clan.
I mean, yeah,
Like
fair.
with this one.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. If it's anything over the top or anything like that,
Absolutely,
we try
we're
to
trying to-
handle. We try to handle that. If it's just people just making snide whatever comments at each other or whatever.
No, and of course, and
talking,
you can't control people.
we
but
don't
if it's like,
control that, but if it's
it's
like over the
you know,
top,
what is okay.
ridiculous, like DDoSing
We
and
don't
all
even-
that is what we take extremely seriously. We do not.
We don't even allow our members. We don't even allow our members into the Citadel.
Yeah, you do. That changed.
No,
Allowed certain.
we have
certain,
we
like,
allow
staff.
our foreign affairs and our officers, but that is
Yeah.
it.
Did you guys open
like
up?
our regular members are not. No,
They're
our
starting
regular
to,
members are
I
not
thought.
allowed.
Mm.
That was our change. That was our change, is
Okay,
allowing
okay.
officers. That was
Yeah.
it. But it was only High Council for the longest time.
Mhm.
So our regular members, like cadets and brand new people, they're not allowed in the Citadel. We require them to leave it.
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, like, I've been trying to avoid having my guys join to the Citadel due to some of its nature and some of the experiences over there. Like, just to kind of keep them more on the safe side, especially like for some of the situations where it came down to the overall on and off accusations, whatever the case would be, and then just a whole lot of like shit talking, toxicity, and all that other bullshit. That is just like it was just starting to get a little ridiculous, in my opinion. So I just avoided kind of having my guys join into the Citadel.
I'm just gonna interject here.
Real quick. Hithus, I do have a new bodyguard coming in. My old one had to get off for the night. So when he joins, it's puzzling track 75.
Alright, so hold on, let me interject here, Tyler. So you say the point like you just couldn't handle the Citadel and all that, and I completely understand why you wouldn't have people want to join certain clans, like especially newer clans that are on the come up or whatever, or smaller clans, right? I understand, like, you don't have to really interact in the Citadel, like in the chats and all that. But I do definitely recommend interacting with the clans, like, activity-wise, scheduling events with them. Like, that's all you really have to do is just schedule, like, events and all that, and interact that
To go
way,
off of that.
as opposed to Citadel, you don't have to talk in the chats and all that, and really interact with those people that much.
Because I still remember from our chat in the Citadel when it came down to just getting the activities, or else the clan starts dying out. I remember that chat, yeah.
Yeah, but there's also one specific clan that is very active with events, but doesn't actually talk in the servers. Their members don't talk that much in the servers. The clan's name is actually Navcom. They don't speak in Citadel that much, like, especially not their leadership. Their leadership
it's like
talk in the server
after
like once
clan
in a blue
events.
moon.
Which is also something I kind of want to talk about. because whenever a clan event ends, people are incredibly rude after it. Sometimes, not saying all the time, but they'll just ego and it becomes a bragging fest and just some dick measuring contest and just shit like that is just beyond fucking stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean,
understand there's
you're
always gonna
gonna
be drama
have
in the
some
community,
experiences that are like that. That's something that every clan at any point or another has had to deal with. So don't focus too much on the negative experiences. Focus on the positive and what you can get from it. Because we've had clans that have been extremely negative about raiding with us, or doing events with us, whether they win or they lose. But usually they don't lose anyway. But basically, they've had we've had negative experiences with some groups in the past, and even as of recently, we've had experience with one specific clan that's in the Citadel as well, where they were calling one of our guys basically cheater and all that stuff after doing a 44 with us, which kind of just out of the blue, and none of us were expecting it, but we just take it for what it is and we just move on. And for our next event, you don't focus too much on the negative. You focus on the positive, the activity, having fun, and all of that at the end of the day. And that's what it's all about. And every clan that's in Citadel understands that.
I don't know. This table's had a lot of coke going around it right now.
Can the game host make a game open so my guy can join real quick, then put it back on invite only? He can't join for some reason.
I would also like to hop on. I would also like to hop on the table again, Druid. So I finally got my game to work. But so our next couple topics, we kind of naturally.
Well, real quick, I got cut off right there. I've been wanting to interject for a while now on that last topic that they were talking about. There was a lot of cope going around about the Citadel here, and what I mean by that is toxicity is the only thing that's kept this community alive, to be blunt with it. Half the clans who have an issue with the Citadel don't interact with the community or don't have numbers to sustain the community on their own. Those community servers don't die because Griffinizer goes out of his way to kill them. They die because there's no topics, there's no drama, and there's nothing keeping clans talking. There's nothing keeping clans going at each other for public spectacle. It's like an arena. Think of it that way. And any one of you guys who are these small clans who go, oh man, they made fun of my clan. It's because you feed into it too seriously, and then you get clowned on for it. Our guys aren't allowed to talk in there. We keep a wrap on what people say. We professionally represent ourselves. We're a platinum tier clan, and we've been able to exist in there for 4 years. It's how you guys are interacting, how you guys do your foreign affairs, and it's your thought process of I am the king of my clan, and I deserve to be treated as a clan. To them, you are the king of dirt. You are the king of dirt. You have 15 active. You're barely able to schedule an event. You don't schedule with anyone. You schedule with these outer rim clans that also have 15 people. You're a king of dirt to them. And that's okay, but you have to prove you're not. It took time for us to do that. It took, 2 years? People would bait us into conversations. And for the first year, we acted like you guys did. A lot of the guys who were bitching about the Citadel, we took them way too seriously, and then we got clowned for it. It's just a change in foreign affairs from these other servers. All those other servers that come up and they get the membership, they get people in there, they die because they're not toxic like the Citadel, to put it bluntly. This community is toxicity at this point. That's why military clans die.
Very toxic.
I actually agree with this point because, I actually kind of agree with this, to be honest. Toxicity, people can say what they want about all of that, but at the end of the day, all this stuff that he just described keeps people talking. It keeps people active. It keeps people fun. But at the end of the day, it's all about activity. It's all about doing stuff. It's all about doing events. It's all about having fun. At the end of the day, it's all about having fun while competing against one another. That's what it is, and that's all it's ever really been the past few years or whatnot. And so that's all it is.
Although at the same time,
and I do agree with Ison on just not taking it too seriously and making sure you're active in a certain way and all of that, and all that. So.
I think it's rude that it shouldn't be done, or it should be at least regulated. It's not.
You can't regulate everyone.
It is regulated.
It is regulated to an extent, but you can't regulate everyone and everything.
Sometimes.
You have to just be able to take it on the cheek and be like, okay, all right, cool.
No, I mean
Moving on.
the Citadel clearly states rules and there are standards
Yeah,
in place
there
for,
are rules
for
in
what can
Citadel,
and can't
and they
be
do
said in
enforce them in
toxicity.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
And they
so it's
document
regulated.
all of the. Yeah, it's all
As much as I
documented
approve
too.
of like how they enforce them in there, I don't always agree with them. Like I've even been a staff member in Citadel myself at one point. Like I don't always agree with them and how they do things in there, but they do things in there a certain way. They do regulate.
Yeah, the Citadel has good structure, and like as far as the toxicity goes,
I
it's
think
just
we're talking about the
it
clans
is-
themselves.
It's a matter of who you choose to engage
It's not the
with.
community's job to
Like,
regulate those clans. It's the community. Like, clans individually
No,
have
no,
to
I'm
regulate
not. I'm
against
not
those
stating
clans.
that the Citadel is the problem. I'm
No.
stating that within the Citadel, certain clans are problems. We were just talking about the Citadel, so that's why I mentioned it.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid we're not going to be able to come to an agreement,
No,
so I think we should
absolutely
just
not.
agree to disagree.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
There's
maybe they're
no-
going to disagree on that. Yeah, true.
So Drew,
Yeah, because I
what
mean,
was
at the end of the day, what's fair is that everyone gets a seat at the table, right? Like, no matter, what type of clan they are, they have a part in the discussion or the community, which is like there's gonna be friction if you include everyone. There always is. It's just natural. It's the yin and the yang of things. It's the duality
Darwinism
of
shows in the community. It's great.
Smurf, I'm just chiming in for just a second. I'm still going to let you just kind of like spearhead pretty much the remainder of this. Once you get in game, I'll kind of be popping around my desk, but I've got a tie.
Sorry about that. I was switching to Discord and I accidentally hit the trigger or my mouse button.
Oh, the territory.
Gotcha. But yeah, no,
That's
it's
nice.
I don't know what the hell is going on to my game right now. It's not letting me
Still
join
not getting
anything. No.
Are we full? I don't think so.
No, we're
Not by any means.
No,
I think it's it's a Hellfire bug where it was at a certain point in time and no one else can join. This thing was going on.
It's infinite, so half the time the lobbies are buggy. So just
yeah.
Might have had something to do with
like the
HPI
H5
handling
like
hers.
friggin' buggy lobbies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one was bugged from the get go because I started it, and then when we got in here, Onyx was host, and then he promoted me back to host. Yeah. So something went wrong. Hit those last couple of points. I'll try and chime back in here in a few minutes. I just gotta honestly wrap up dinner.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Cool.
So I mean, we kind of naturally went into our next couple points on the conversations we're having, but it's how are we going to create like a more welcoming atmosphere? Which I know there were some pretty good points brought up already, but we'll just go around the table.
You can go first, Smurf, if you have anything.
I got nothing. Most of the things I was going to say have already been brought up. So go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like as the group in game so far, I feel like we've addressed a lot of it, but I feel like it really just comes down to, at the end of the day, new clans. Anytime somebody else joins a community, and as a fairly new clan, we've only been up a month, you're gonna have clans that fuck with you, and you're gonna have clans that don't fuck with you. Cling on to the ones that do host good events with you, and the ones that don't, build up high enough to where you can either A, give them a reason to reach out to, or B, just never associate with them. And if you are some of those bigger clans that are open to working with small clans and you're looking for those low tier clans, give them love. We all know that they want it and they need it. So, I mean, I appreciate Vanguard for reaching out to us and Hithus obviously for supporting. Yeah, go for it.
I want to take this opportunity on behalf of Valor to reach out to actually go with your message here and reach out to these clans that want to schedule events as well. Because we're always down to schedule events that we'll try to accommodate a tier as much as possible. Whereas not every clan has like really decent or mid to high tier players. Obviously, that's not going to be the case, and we are completely understanding of that. But I just want to take this one more time to reach out and for any clans that want to schedule, whether new or not, that haven't already scheduled with us and haven't already established any relations with us, which if you've already established relations with us, which, good stuff, like, we'll just continue scheduling events with you. But for new clans that haven't, we are always down to schedule events and schedule activities. Yeah. Whatever you want, whatever numbers that your clan has, will accommodate. Whatever you have, will accommodate. And sometimes, and there are times where we host events or we schedule events, and clans may not have enough people, but we are willing to go out of our way to give them people put on their lineups so that we can play the events with them. So we'll give them like a couple players, and have them be on their lineup on their side when they're Xbox party, and come with them and all that. And our players are usually very cordial with players in these clans that we schedule with. We don't allow any of our players to get toxic in events. None of it. It does not happen. Unless we have a specific reason to be toxic in an event, like with a specific clan like Navcom or whatnot, right? And it would only be with specific clans as well. It wouldn't be with any new clan or anything. It would just be like with probably like Navcom, like that type of clan. But we don't allow our guys to be toxic in events. If there is any toxicity in our events, we deal with it. So we try to keep our events as friendly as possible, and in good nature and good spirits as possible, regardless of the outcome of it.
Gotcha. Tier.
I didn't really have anything else to
Tim.
touch on. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, Tier, Tim, are either you by the table, or are you on detail right now?
Yes, I'm on
Both
the
of
table.
them.
All right, perfect. You will be my eyes since I can't get into this game next.
Next would be Honor.
I am sharing screen.
Yeah. Even though it is my turn to speak, I'll literally just, instead of iterating everything that Solstice said, 100% verbatim is exactly what I feel.
Next.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Even though I'd probably be in that category that Ison called. I'm Mr. Joe Dirt over here. Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, it's a welcoming community. It's just one that you can get along with. Like I said, schedule with people, not specifically Ison, but like someone else at the table said. Just find people you can schedule with that will try to help you, try to be fair with you. At the end of the day, you don't even have to have relations with that clan. As long as you had a good time with that clan, keep scheduling with them. Your members love the activity, and your clan's going to just grow from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When it comes to a more welcoming environment, I don't think it's the community's place to be welcoming. I think that's what the internal policies of a clan are for. You welcome your members, you shield them, those who can't handle the community, from the toxicity that they can't handle, so they have a great experience. And those who can handle it go into the community, and they represent your clan greatly. You make friends along the way, sure, but I think you should make a lot of enemies along the way, too. I think that's what clans have always been. I think this hyper-focus on they're not inclusive enough of me has kind of destroyed and made all these Outer Rim clans just push into the fringe. I think the community's in a great spot right now, but I digress with that.
I know this is kind of like your chance to speak, and I know I'm cutting off like the next person, but I don't really feel like that's what kind of like cut off, the main clans. I mean, like, really, what was that spark? I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, I feel like it was Infinite, just in general. I mean, like, clans died out because it was a shitty game in its, start.
I think that's cope too. I think Infinite was a fine game to do clans on. I mean, coming from 5, this game gave us everything we needed off the get-go. I think everyone who had the mentality of I can't do uniforms in this game just didn't look hard enough. They just couldn't modernize. I mean, I'll use, for example, at this table, we've talked more about Reach than we have Infinite. I've heard Reach mentioned more time than Infinite. I've heard Halo 4 mentioned more time than Infinite. I've heard Halo 5 mentioned more time than Infinite. People are, specifically leaders, are still so prideful of their past that they're unable to move into the future, and they can't cope in the current community because of it. And other leaders don't treat them as equals because they're still bringing up experience from 12 years ago.
Well, if I may argue on
There's
that one, because
point.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't really go off and really try to take pride in any kind of past, because there are still like some actions on my end that I've been like moving on like for fucking years, and I don't bother taking pride or any kind of like boastfulness, like either to myself or to my group in any kind of aspect. So it's like, yeah, we go off and talk about the other games, yeah, because that's what we grew up on, but at the same time, like I said, I don't bother taking that kind of pride because it's from the experiences that we usually will gain from.
I'm not referencing just you, but to put it bluntly, I mean, I think if the only thing you have to reference is past, it makes it seem like pride. I mean, you're not referencing current great things your clan have done. You're not bringing up current experiences to make the community better. You're bringing up how things were in the past, how it was in the past, the times that changed in the past. Not you specifically, of course. I'm saying the whole table. That's what I was referencing. I wasn't directing it just at you, Tyler.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to say in the generality of things too. Like I just wanted to kind of just speak on my mind about it, since someone else at the table here may have a similar perspective to it.
What I will say though is I definitely agree with your original statement.
So, I've been doing clans since I'm 11 years old. I'm like in my mid-20s. To me, Halo Reach pretty much was the golden age in the clan community, in my eyes. I'm very proud where I've come from. I do think clans have let down since then, like gone collapse a bit. But at this age where I'm at now, we are just a completely old generation. And how the new generations are coming, they're just going to see things a lot more different. I mean, Smith, how long have you been doing clans for?
It's my first clan. About to hit my year in Hithus.
And can you say you've enjoyed your experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like that, people are coming on, like, joining this community, and they're going to see things a lot more different than us old generations. And we have to keep that in mind.
Well, we technically have to be like the teachers for the new gens. No, I hear you.
And that's kind of like the point I was trying to make too, is we need to stop microscoping on the past and actually enjoy the second half of this lifespan in Infinite. Because there's going to be a new Halo game within the next 2 years. We all know this. We just need to focus on this second half of the span. And stop microscoping
on this topic. What I will say though is I definitely agree with Ison's original statement though about it's the duty of the clan themselves to make themselves presentable to the public outside of the clan community, also within. I mean, not to obviously go back to the golden age of Reach, but I will say though is that people such as myself who originally got back into clans back when Reach was originally when Reach originally came out, was that what brought a lot of people in was the YouTube exposure. I mean, YouTube was a major thing because it was able to actually get people outside of the standard player base beyond just having to meet 16 people in a single lobby in BTB. And as I'm so sorry, the British guy who just previously spoke as well, and you're also exactly right, is the newer generation is going to have far more different interests and ways to communicate with a newer audience, and things will always change and adapt. But one thing we also have to realize as well is that some forms of outreach, especially with a new form of a new game coming out within the next 2 years, which is going to be a excellent opportunity for us. Now, will the player base actually be sustainable in the long term? We don't know. It could be a golden age such as Reach, or it could be another flop like Infinite. God knows we all are well aware of 343's track record. But in my personal mindset, I also like to think that Microsoft possibly has a 9mm to the back of their head in this circumstance.
They are limited by Microsoft. Microsoft's limiting to the point where they can. The fact is, there's probably one more update for Infinite coming out too, and that's it, because the game has,
exactly.
And I under the radar, I know that people know a lot about it. I hope you guys know this. There is going to be something this year. I swear there's something coming from a certain Infinity that's going to be coming this.
We can definitely hope. But to go back on my prior point, though, I will say is that there are some tried and true methods, though. I mean, prime example, though, is that, uploading YouTube videos, even now, you can get such great feedback from people outside of the clan community, especially.
YouTube, TikTok.
It's easier. Yeah,
whole
YouTube,
variety.
TikTok, so forth. Yeah, it's easier than ever. And honestly, it doesn't take an army. You have one or two guys who are solely focused on it, you can easily get a few thousand views. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Enclave's YouTube page, but we easily get 1,000 in the first week. It's not that hard.
The only thing that I'm going to disagree with here is the fact that what Ison said about the community is in a great position right now. It's, in my opinion, the opposite. We're so divided. There's so many different small communities separated who are not coming into Citadel, which is practically the almost only real source of companionship. Not like the wrong word for that, but you know what I mean. Like, there's so much division. So many clans refuse to interact. So many are trapped in their own world. We're probably one of the worst eras of the Halo clan community. Even in 2004, when the first quote-unquote clan started, was better than it is now.
Rise, can I ask a question, actually?
What's up?
About what you just said? You interact with the custom browser community. How many clans in the custom browser community have more than like 30 active members, out of curiosity?
Maybe 5, top of my head.
Because you say the community is fragmented like this, but I don't think that's the case if you look at numbers, right? You can have all these clan leaders have 10 people following them, but the community's in a pretty centralized place right now in the Citadel. I mean, I would say SOR could dwarf the entire custom browser community combined in active numbers, and they're in the Citadel. So just them alone, if we're talking about active people in the clan community, I would say 85 to 90% of them are in the Citadel. And that's, I feel like, a low ball, to be honest with you. I have not met a clan in the custom browser that is 40 or more active that doesn't interact in Citadel. I haven't. And we like interacting with those clans. We like helping them out. So to say the community's fragmented and split, I mean, maybe slightly if you count that 5% on the outskirts. But again, those are just people who can't modernize and don't really want to be a part of the community in the first place. They want to kind of burn it down and make their own in their image.
But though at the same time,
we've actually been responsible for bringing a lot, and you can deny this, but some clans will. We've been responsible for bringing so many clans into the Citadel. PHC, we brought Iron Legion to the Citadel a while back. We brought SOF into the community, which is a giant UNSC clan of like 90 people. PHC is, I think, around 50 really good people.
SOF, who's that? I'm sorry.
Spirit of Fire.
Gotcha. They still around?
Yeah. I don't know what version this is, but apparently they've been going for like 2-3 years, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
We were in a meeting with them the other day, but they did cancel an event last week with us.
Gotcha. I was just curious.
Yeah, but they are 90 people last time we were talking to them, which was like 2 days ago. Like, there's, give me like a minute or two, I can think of more clans, but PHC, Iron Legion, SOF, we brought in another clan that did get bullied out, sadly, and it's a shame, but they're a clan of roughly 30-40. We interact in our embassy, we bring in a lot of custom browser clans too to get them a not like a tasting of mainstream, but like an idea of what it is, and then we bring in the Citadel. Because that's the way
which group was bullied out?
I know you're lightening the barbaric savages in the outskirts. I get it, but like, these are like usually traditionally very like off tribal groups that don't follow the norms of the community. It's kind of my whole thing, and that's the reason they don't mesh well. It's just social Darwinism. So the whole fragmented topic, just because that's what I was commenting on earlier, I don't think that's entirely true in the current state of the community. I think that's more of a mirage because you meet so many leaders who have 10-man clans.
But though at the same time, as I went off with the previous topics, where like where a lot of the players tended to pretty much go off and leave Infinite due to some of the circumstances and a lot of the aspects that didn't really go according to plan. So like, of course, like I'm like gonna Forge. Be in a Forge, yeah, and then like some of the broken like systems, schematics, like either with the weapons, the playstyle, all of that. And then
I've seen a handful of them fall apart just due to internal conflict as well. Just they start out strong, and then leadership would have a fight, and everything would just fall apart, and then like none of them are around anymore.
Yeah, but
it's many clans throughout history, but yeah, I mean, I feel like we should try to nurture and help that. I mean, I'm not saying that like we want like weak-minded people in the community, but I mean, like, we do want people in our community from outside of it, right? Like, not being born with that, right? Like joining some clan and then whatever. I'm saying like starting up from outside, the outskirts. We don't see much growth in that department. A lot of people have to do the, seeking out themselves in order to do that, like Reese has done. Like I've even tried doing. It's just really rough to grow this community from outside of our own scope.
Yes,
and a lot of it has to do with the state of the game.
Yeah, that's not because of how our community treats people. Nothing's changed.
I mean,
people will get bored.
Are any of you
because of how the community is currently?
Are any of you familiar with the? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
No, good. I finished my statement. You're good.
The clip from Summit 1 playing Halo Ranked recently, where he just loses his shit. Because he's playing Ranked, and he's talking to his teammates, and no one is fucking communicating to him. And when he does get someone that communicates to him, they're a toxic piece of shit. And he's like, every other game that you play, whether it's Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, like any other shooter game that you play, you get at least fairly chill teammates with comms. In Halo, you don't fucking get that. It's like the community is...
There's an expectation, and there is no
different.
one for growth.
It is different. Yeah.
Adversely, I've seen clips. I occasionally watch clips from Lucid, and it doesn't turn out that way. But then I'll also watch people who solo queue like above average Cody, who I actually remember a specific video where he was facing SOR in a 4-stack, and he spent the entire match bitching about how he had to fight a 4-stack in ranked. And I could only think my only opinion was then make friends. That's kind of what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're solo queuing ranked, you are not in a position to complain.
Yeah. No.
Yes and no. I mean, like the
Plus, those other games are all toxic shitholes. Like,
yeah. But then
They are
have,
pretty
like I've heard Lucid say that if you can't hit Onyx solo queuing, then you shouldn't be there, and it feels damn near impossible.
Yeah, he also
But
called a guy a cheater
unless you're
earlier.
just absolutely cracked, which those people exist. Like, don't get me wrong, they are out there. I'm just not him. Like, the only way that I'm hitting Onyx is with a strong 4-stack. But that's it. That's it. But gentlemen, my time here is going to be cut short. I need to step away and be with my wife for dinner and enjoy the rest of my
I'm
evening.
gonna be as well, but I'm gonna
Of course.
End our involvement here with this VC. I'm going to take my leave as well. My list representatives have already left anything, but I'm just going to end it off by saying, like, one last time, if there are any clans that are new, any of you that are in this VC that haven't already started scheduling with us, I do recommend scheduling with Valor. We are the friendliest, like, big clan that you will find. And we are usually the most fair and the most reasonable big clan that you'll find in the community. You won't find Navcom to be as reasonable. You won't find, like, Redwater to be as reasonable. You might find Vanguard to be reasonable too, but I mean,
I love Valley, but stop the cat, bro. We all know SOR is the friendliest in the community. Come on now. If you're a little small thing, go hang out with us.
I don't know about that.
Wait, hold on. In terms of the friendliest clan, let's actually talk about the friendliest clan overall. Let's talk about Cydonia.
Hithus.
Cydonia, yes.
I would say that
Cydonia,
from a community standpoint, Hithus will be hosting a few more of these, maybe one more before the end of the year. But I think that these are good. I think these need to happen more often and not have 6 people assassinated. This went down well. I'm proud of everybody here. I'll just throw that out there. This has been extremely relieving.
Yeah, but it's basically just what I'm saying is, feel free to reach out. Feel free to DM. I'm not gonna send an invite to the console in the server or anything because I don't want to self-advertise or anything. This is Hithus' server. Be disrespectful, but it's basically all I've really got to say. Good luck to every clan. Hope you guys are keeping your clans up and good internal. Good activity, all that.
Keep a couple notes for me and DM them to me, and I'm gonna promote Tier. Tier, you can take this seat. And I will see myself out.
I was gonna say, I mean, we're
pretty
much covered all of our topics.
Hey,
good. Yeah,
but
you guys hang out as well.
You guys are good.
Alright.
You guys as well. You guys are good.
Good night, Drew.
Because right now it's like 4 a.m. for me. I'm gonna about die.
Yeah. It is.
What was left on your list?
Hey, I'm still here.
I
So if you need
think Smurf said that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, it was just more so just like the one-liners, two-liners from us. If you want to go ahead and just talk about those, the just Empire trades and Drex announcement.
I don't really have anything else to pretty much go off and talk about, really.
Alright, Tyr, I'm gonna step out. It won't let me promote you. So the thing is bugged. So it will just promote someone randomly. But just ask them to promote Anger, whoever it gives it to.
By the way, on behalf of Dracarys, their clan is pronounced Hithus.
Yeah. An angel this man is.
I kind of figured it was gonna be like in that kind of like pronunciation.
I was cringing this entire time as an ex-member. I'm just like,
yeah, Hithus, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Drew, do you want to just announce that coronation quick for me?
So Dracarys has announced his coronation from king to emperor. Not exactly sure what all that entails. I was hoping that he would give us some more details on that while he was here. I know I have a feeling I have a feeling this is gonna kind of go hand in hand with him getting married and kind of progressing his own personal life. Moving into a little bit more of a lax role. We'll see.
I was using. What's the? What are we on right now? What are we talking about?
Dreg's coronation from king to emperor.
Oh, okay.
But again, thank each and every one of you for attending. It was a pleasure sitting at the table with all of y'all, and I will be in touch with more than likely pretty much everybody from this meeting. But we'll just do a little follow up.
Good get together.
Yeah, Jared, you and I can sit down tomorrow and talk about shit.
Absolutely.
So basically, with the what it's called, empire expanding and whatnot, and personal stuff, it doesn't really seem fit for my title to be king anymore, seeing as we're more than just ourselves, and we have been for some time. I was talking to some members and we decided to change my title. So unfortunately I won't be as active as usual, but it's just because I can't be.
Well, congratulations.
I appreciate
Congrats on the new title.
Well,
Appreciate
not just that, but marriage.
Yeah.
I heard he got my congrats for the marriage.
Yeah, I give
mine. Congratulations, honestly.
Yeah, I give my congrats on that too.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you will now earn extra
cooler than being a
2,100 per month.
Wait, if he's gonna be the emperor now, what's the blooded queen gonna be?
Empress.
Yeah, Empress.
I'm an idiot.
Carry on. We're really gonna give you this, but
Wow. Wow.
Hail Hithus.
Hail Hithus.
I'm in public.
You're in.
Yo, Onyx,
They must join the Empire, Drag. They must join us.
can I steal you for a minute after this? You got a second to talk?
What? Are you talking to me?
No, Onyx.
Okay.
Alright, perfect.
Alright, well.
Tyr, do you want us all to walk out of the building, or are we just gonna end the game?
Yeah, we're gonna do a roleplay walk.
Yeah, let's roleplay walk.
A little roleplay walk for the boys.
Want to go for a ride?